Life doesn't wait for anyone, and neither should you. How many times have you found yourself waiting for the right moment, the right opportunity, or the right conditions? We all have dreams, goals, and ambitions, but often we hesitate, thinking we're not ready or it's not the right time. What if I told you that life is constantly moving, and if you don't take action, you might just miss your shot? Today, I'm sharing with you 40 brutal truths I wish I knew earlier in my life. These are the kinds of lessons that can change the course of your future. The truths that most people learn only after years of struggle, pain, and regret. But it doesn't have to be that way for you. If you're ready to hear what they are, to challenge the way you've been thinking, and to finally take control of your future, this video is for you. These truths are real, they're powerful, and they'll help you break through the barriers that have been holding you back. Stick with me through the entire video, because by the end, you'll have a whole new perspective on life and success. Are you ready to stop waiting and start living your best life? Let's dive in. Number 1, your time is your most valuable asset. You might have heard that before, but have you truly thought about what it means? Time is the one thing you can't earn back. You can lose money and make it again. You can fail and rise back up, but time, once it's gone forever. Picture this: every morning, as you open your eyes, life hands you 24 hours. That's 1,440 minutes ready to be spent. The question is, how are you spending it? Are you investing it in building something meaningful, your dreams, your relationships, your health? Or are you letting it slip through your fingers, wasted on things that don't matter? When I was younger, I didn't get it. I thought I had all the time in the world. I spent hours doing things that felt urgent, but weren't important. I'd say yes to everyone and everything, thinking I could make it all work. But let me tell you, that's a fast track to frustration and burnout. I learned the hard way that if you don't take control of your time, someone else will. Here's the truth that hit me like a lightning bolt one day. Time is not something you manage. It's something you must master. You see, life doesn't give you more hours if you're busy or behind schedule. It doesn't pause for you to catch up. It keeps moving with or without your permission. And that's why you have to take responsibility for how you use it. I remember one specific moment when this became clear to me. I was sitting with my mentor, frustrated because I felt like I was working so hard but not getting anywhere. He leaned in and said, "Jim, let me ask you something. Are you working on what matters, or are you just working?" That question stopped me in my tracks. I realized I had been busy, but I wasn't being productive. I was putting my energy into things that didn't align with my bigger goals. From that day forward, I started looking at time differently. I began to see it as a treasure, something to protect, to prioritize, and to spend wisely. I started asking myself before every decision, is this worth my time? And if it wasn't, I learned to walk away. Now let's talk about you. Are you spending your time on what truly matters to you? Be honest with yourself. Maybe you've been caught up in endless scrolling on your phone, saying yes to commitments you don't care about, or putting off your dreams for someday. Here's the thing, there is no someday on the calendar. There's only today. Every single second you spend is shaping your future. The books you read, the people you talk to, the habits you build, all of it adds up. And here's the kicker, you don't have to do everything. You just have to focus on the right things. I want you to imagine your time as a bank account. Every morning, the account is filled with 86,400 seconds. You can't save any for tomorrow. You can only spend them. So what are you spending them on? Are you investing in yourself, your growth, your health, your goals? Or are you spending it on things that won't matter a year from now? Let me leave you with this. When you look back on your life, you won't regret the risks you took, the dreams you chased, or the time you spent with the people you love. What you'll regret are the moments you wasted, the chances you didn't take, and the time you let slip away. So, take control of your time, guard it fiercely, spend it wisely, and remember, every single second is an opportunity to create the life you want. Time is your greatest gift. Don't let it go to waste. Now go out there and make every moment count. Number 2, success is not a straight line. Have you ever stood at the edge of a long road and imagined that it would be perfectly straight and smooth all the way to your destination? Maybe it's a stretch of highway or a quiet country lane. At first, it feels like you can see exactly where you're going, every twist and turn laid out neatly. But as you begin your journey, you quickly realize it's not like that at all. There are bends you didn't see coming, potholes you didn't expect, and stretches that seem endless. That's what success is like. It's not a straight line. I used to think that success was a linear path, like climbing a ladder. Step 1, step 2, step 3, and boom, you're at the top. But life doesn't work that way. Success is messy. It's unpredictable. It's full of detours, setbacks, and moments where you're not even sure if you're on the right track. And you know what? That's okay. In fact, that's what makes it worth it. Here's the thing, success isn't just about the destination. It's about the journey. It's about who you become along the way, the challenges you face, the lessons you learn, the growth you experience. Those are the things that shape you into the person who can handle success when it comes. If everything were easy, you wouldn't grow. If the road were perfectly smooth, you wouldn't build the resilience and strength you need to keep going when things get tough. I remember a time early in my career when I thought I had it all figured out. I had a plan, a vision, and I was ready to go. But life had other ideas. I faced rejection after rejection, doors slammed in my face, and moments where I felt like giving up. I'd sit there thinking, why is this so hard? Why can't it just work out the way I planned? But looking back, those moments were some of the most important in my life. They taught me perseverance. They taught me patience. And most importantly, they taught me that success isn't about avoiding failure, it's about learning from it. If you're on a path right now, and it feels like you're taking 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, let me tell you something. You're not failing. You're learning. Every setback is teaching you something valuable. Every mistake is helping you get closer to where you want to be. Success isn't a straight climb, it's a dance. Sometimes you move forward, sometimes sideways, and sometimes you stumble. But as long as you keep moving, you're making progress. Think about some of the most successful people in history. Do you think their journeys were straightforward? Or do you think they woke up one day and everything just magically fell into place? Of course not. They struggled. They faced failures. They doubted themselves. But they kept going. They understood that the road to success isn't about avoiding the bumps and turns, it's about navigating them. And let me tell you something else. When you finally reach your version of success, it won't be the straight path you took that you'll remember. It'll be the detours, the obstacles, the moments you almost gave up but didn't. Those are the moments that will make your success meaningful. They'll remind you of how far you've come and how much you've grown. So, if you're in the middle of a tough season, if the road ahead looks unclear, don't give up. Don't let the twists and turns discourage you. Embrace them. Learn from them. Trust that every step, no matter how small or uncertain, is taking you closer to where you're meant to be. Success isn't a straight line, but it's a journey worth taking. Keep going. Keep growing. And remember, every twist in the road is shaping you into the person you're meant to become. Number 3, failure is part of the journey. How many of you have ever felt like failure was the end of the road? Like the moment something didn't work out, that was it. You missed your shot and the door slammed shut. I've been there and I know how heavy that can feel. But let me tell you something that changed everything for me. Failure isn't the end. It's part of the journey. It's a step, not a stop. One of the greatest truths I've learned in life is that failure isn't something to fear. It's something to embrace. I know that might sound strange. We're taught from a young age to avoid failure at all costs. Get the right grades, land the perfect job, make all the right moves. But that's not how life works, and it's not how success is built. Failure is the classroom where life teaches its most valuable lessons. When I think back to some of the most pivotal moments in my life, they weren't the easy wins or the smooth rides. They were the times I failed. They were the times I tried something new only to fall flat on my face. And let me tell you, in the moment, it stings. It's uncomfortable. It's humbling. But when I look back, I realize those failures were gifts. They pushed me to grow. They taught me resilience. They helped me see what I was made of. You see, failure is feedback. It's not a judgment on your worth or your potential, it's just information. It's life's way of saying, not this way. Try another. Every time you fail, you're learning something you didn't know before. Maybe it's a better way to approach a problem. Maybe it's a lesson about patience or preparation. Maybe it's even a wake-up call to adjust your goals. Whatever it is, failure is never wasted unless you let it be. I remember a time when I poured my heart into a project that completely flopped. I had spent months planning, working, and dreaming about how it would all come together. And then it didn't. It felt like I had hit a wall. And for a moment, I thought about walking away. But instead, I asked myself, what can I learn from this? And that simple question changed everything. It shifted my perspective. It turned my failure into a stepping stone instead of a stumbling block. If you're feeling discouraged right now because something didn't go the way you planned, I want you to take a deep breath and hear this. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of it. Every successful person you admire has failed probably more times than you can count. The difference is they didn't let failure stop them. They used it as fuel. They let it shape them, teach them, and push them forward. Failure also has a way of making you stronger. It tests your commitment. It asks you, how badly do you want this? And if you can answer that question with action, if you can pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and try again, you're already on your way to success. Because success isn't about never falling, it's about getting back up every single time. Here's the beautiful thing about failure. It reminds us we're human. It keeps us humble. It gives us empathy for others who are struggling. And most importantly, it shows us that we're trying. You only fail if you're out there putting in the effort. You only fail if you're brave enough to take risks. So in a way, every failure is proof that you're moving forward, even when it doesn't feel like it. As you go through life, don't let the fear of failure hold you back. Instead, see it for what it is, a necessary part of growth. You know that every stumble, every misstep, and every setback is shaping you into the person you're meant to be. Failure is not your enemy, it's your greatest teacher. So embrace it, learn from it, and keep going, because the only real failure is giving up. Everything else is just part of the process. Number 4, discipline is key. Have you ever wished for a magic formula for success? Something simple and foolproof? I'll tell you this, if such a thing exists, it's called discipline. Discipline is not glamorous. It's not flashy. But it's the single most powerful tool you can use to build the life you want. Discipline is the ability to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. And let's be honest, most of the time you won't feel like it. Motivation is great, but it's fleeting. It comes and goes like the wind. Discipline, on the other hand, is steady. It doesn't rely on your mood or the weather or how things are going in your life. It's a commitment to show up and put in the work, no matter what. When I think about the times I've achieved something meaningful, it always came down to discipline, not talent, not luck. Just the simple act of consistently doing what I said I would do. And that's the thing, discipline isn't about giant leaps. It's about small, deliberate steps taken every single day. It's waking up early to work on your goals. It's saying no to distractions. It's choosing to keep going when every part of you wants to quit. Here's the truth, discipline isn't easy. It requires sacrifice. It means saying no to the things that feel good in the moment, so you can say yes to the things that truly matter. It's trading instant gratification for long-term growth. And that's hard. But let me tell you something else, it's worth it. Every time you choose discipline, you're investing in yourself. You're building habits that will carry you when motivation runs dry. You're proving to yourself that you have what it takes. The beauty of discipline is that it compounds over time. At first, it feels like a grind. It's uncomfortable. It's new. But as you stick with it, something amazing happens. The things that used to feel like a struggle start to become second nature. You start to see progress. And that progress fuels more discipline. It's a cycle that once started can take you further than you ever imagined. I know some people hear the word discipline and think it sounds restrictive, like it's all about rules and rigidity. But discipline isn't about restriction, it's about freedom. Think about it: when you've discipline with your time, your health, your work, and your relationships, you gain control over your life. You're no longer at the mercy of bad habits or fleeting emotions. You're in charge. And that's a powerful place to be. Now, you might be thinking, Jim, that all sounds great. But how do I actually become more disciplined? It starts with a decision. You have to decide that your goals are worth it. You have to decide that you're going to show up for yourself, even on the hard days. Then you start small. Discipline doesn't mean overhauling your life overnight. It's about making one good choice at a time. Start with something simple. Maybe it's setting a daily goal, waking up a little earlier, or committing to finishing one task you've been putting off. Whatever it is, stick with it. And as you build that muscle, you'll find it gets easier to take on bigger challenges. Another thing to remember is that discipline doesn't mean you'll never slip up. You will. We all do. The key is not to let one bad day turn into a bad week or a bad month. When you fall off track, get back up. Show yourself grace, but don't let excuses take over. Every day is a new opportunity to choose discipline. Here's the final thing I'll say about discipline. It's not just about achieving your goals, it's about becoming the kind of person who can achieve anything. Discipline builds character. It gives you confidence. It teaches you to trust yourself. And that, my friends, is priceless. So if there's one thing you take away from this, let it be this: discipline is your ticket to the life you want. It's not easy, but it's simple. Show up. Do the work. Keep going. And watch how your life transforms, one choice at a time. Number 5. Surround yourself with the right people. You know, one of the most important lessons I've learned in life is this: the people you surround yourself with will either lift you up or pull you down. It's that simple. And it's that powerful. Take a moment and think about the people in your life right now. Who do you spend the most time with? What kind of energy do they bring into your world? Because whether you realize it or not, the company you keep shapes your mindset, your habits, and ultimately your destiny. When I was younger, I didn't pay much attention to this. I thought I could be friends with everyone, and that who I spent time with didn't really matter as long as I stayed focused on my own goals. But I was wrong. Over time, I noticed something interesting. When I spent time with people who were lazy, negative, or unmotivated, I started to feel the same way. I didn't even realize it was happening at first, but their habits and attitudes were rubbing off on me. On the other hand, when I surrounded myself with people who were driven, positive, and constantly striving to grow, it was like a switch flipped. I felt inspired, challenged, and encouraged to be better. This is what I call the power of proximity. The people closest to you have a profound influence on your thoughts, your beliefs, and your actions. If you surround yourself with people who believe in you, who push you to dream bigger, and who hold you accountable, you'll be amazed at what you can achieve. But if you're constantly around people who doubt you, who make excuses, or who settle for less, it's going to be a lot harder to rise above that. Let me share something else about this. Building the right circle doesn't mean you have to cut people out of your life entirely. It's not about being harsh or judgmental. It's about making conscious choices about how you spend your time and energy. Sometimes it means creating some distance from relationships that drain you. Other times it means seeking out new connections with people who inspire you. And yes, it might mean having tough conversations or stepping out of your comfort zone to meet new people. But trust me, it's worth it. I want you to think of this like building a team for your life. Imagine you're putting together a group of people who are going to help you succeed, not just in your career, but in your personal growth, your health, your happiness. Who do you want on that team? Look for people who challenge you to grow, who celebrate your wins, and who stick by you when things get tough. Those are the kind of people who will help you reach your full potential. Here's another thing: surrounding yourself with the right people isn't just about finding mentors or people who are ahead of you in life. It's also about having peers who are on the same journey, who understand your struggles and cheer you on. And don't forget about being that person for someone else. Support others, encourage them, and be the kind of friend or mentor you wish you had. When you give that kind of energy to the world, it comes back to you in ways you can't even imagine. Now, let's talk about what to do if you don't feel like you have those people in your life right now. The good news is you can find them. Join groups or communities where people share your interests or values. Attend events, take classes, or connect with people online. The world is full of incredible individuals who are looking for meaningful connections just like you. It might take some time, but if you're intentional about it, you'll start to find your tribe. Remember, this life is too short to spend it with people who don't bring out the best in you. And here's the best part: when you surround yourself with the right people, you become stronger, happier, and more resilient. You start to believe in yourself more because you see that belief reflected in the people around you. And when you're operating from that place of confidence and support, there's nothing you can't achieve. So take a moment today and ask yourself, who are the people in my life that inspire me, who makes me feel excited about the future? And who might be holding me back? Be honest with yourself, and then take action. Build a circle of people who will lift you higher, and I promise your life will never be the same. Number 6, self-care is not selfish. When was the last time you truly took care of yourself? Not just the basics like eating or sleeping, but genuinely paused and said, I need to take time for me, to recharge, to heal, to breathe. So many people go through life treating themselves like a machine, constantly pushing, working, doing, and rarely stopping to maintain the very engine that keeps it all running. Here's the truth: self-care is not selfish. It's not a luxury. It's a necessity. I used to think that working harder, sacrificing sleep, and never taking a break was a badge of honor. It felt like the more I poured into everything else, the more valuable I was. But what I didn't realize was that I was running on empty. And you know what happens when you run a car without gas for too long? It breaks down. The same thing happens to us. We burn out. We lose our passion. We lose our energy. And when that happens, everything suffers: our work, our relationships, even our health. Taking care of yourself doesn't mean neglecting your responsibilities. It means recognizing that you can't give your best to anything or anyone if you're not taking care of the person in the mirror. You are your most important asset. If you want to show up for your family, your job, your dreams, you have to be in the best shape physically, emotionally, and mentally. I know what some of you might be thinking: I don't have time for self-care. Believe me, I get it. Life is busy. The days are full. But here's the thing: you make time for what matters. If you're not prioritizing yourself, it's only a matter of time before everything else starts to fall apart. Making time for self-care isn't about being indulgent, it's about being smart. It's about recognizing that when you take care of yourself, you're better equipped to handle everything else life throws at you. So what does self-care look like? It's different for everyone, but it starts with listening to yourself. What do you need? Maybe it's as simple as getting enough sleep at night or taking a walk outside to clear your head. Maybe it's carving out 30 minutes a day to read, meditate, or exercise. Or maybe it's saying no to commitments that drain you so you can say yes to things that fill you up. Self-care can also mean seeking help. When you need it, talking to a friend, joining a support group, or even speaking with a professional. And let me tell you, self-care isn't just about the big things. It's in the small, everyday choices you make. Choosing to eat foods that nourish your body. Taking a moment to breathe deeply when you're stressed. Allowing yourself to rest when you're tired. These little acts add up, and they remind you that you matter, that you're worth taking care of. One thing I've learned is that self-care also means setting boundaries. It means protecting your time, your energy, and your peace. That might mean saying no to extra work when you're already overwhelmed, or stepping back from relationships that take more than they give. It's about knowing your limits and respecting them, even when it's hard. Here's another truth: self-care isn't selfish because it benefits everyone around you. When you're rested, calm, and energized, you're a better friend, partner, parent, and colleague. You're more patient, more creative, more present. Taking care of yourself is one of the most unselfish things you can do because it allows you to show up as the best version of yourself for the people you care about. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this, it's this: you are not invincible. You're human. And being human means you have needs, real, valid, important needs. It's not a weakness to acknowledge them, it's strength. It's wisdom. It's courage. So give yourself permission to rest. Give yourself permission to slow down, to recharge, to care for yourself as deeply and as kindly as you care for others. The world will keep spinning if you take a moment to pause. The work will still be there when you're ready. And you'll be stronger, clearer, and more capable of tackling it when you've taken the time to fill your own cup first. Because when you take care of yourself, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. And that, my friend, is the life you deserve to live. Number 7, you can't control everything, but you can control your reactions. How often do you catch yourself worrying about things you can't control? Maybe it's the traffic making you late, someone else's bad attitude, or even the way the weather decides to ruin your plans. It's frustrating, isn't it? But here's something life has taught me: while you can't control everything around you, you always have the power to control how you respond to it. And that is where your true strength lies. We spend so much of our energy trying to bend the world to our will. We want things to go our way, people to act the way we hope, and situations to align perfectly with our expectations. But the truth is, life doesn't work that way. Things go wrong. People disappoint us. Circumstances change without warning. And if we let those things dictate our peace of mind, we'll always feel like we're at the mercy of forces beyond our control. Think about it this way: you're on a boat in the middle of the ocean, and suddenly a storm rolls in. You can't stop the wind, you can't calm the waves, and you definitely can't change the weather. But you can steady your grip on the wheel. You can adjust your sails. You can choose how you're going to navigate through the storm. Life is exactly like that. You don't control the storm, but you control how you steer through it. This is where your reactions become the game changer. How you respond to life's challenges is what separates those who crumble under pressure from those who rise above it. And the best part, this is a skill you can build. You can train yourself to stay calm in chaos, to pause before reacting, to choose responses that serve you instead of sabotage you. When someone says something hurtful, you can't control their words, but you can control whether you let it ruin your day or shrug it off. When you face a setback, you can't always control what went wrong, but you can decide whether to give up or try again. When life feels unfair, you can't fix every problem overnight, but you can choose to focus on what you can do instead of what you can't. Here's an example from my own life. I remember a time when I had a big project that completely fell apart. I'd worked hard on it, poured hours of effort into it, and it just didn't work out. At first, I was furious at myself, at others, at the situation. But after a while, I realized something: being angry or blaming anyone wasn't going to fix it. I couldn't go back and change what happened. What I could do was decide what I was going to do next. I could learn from it. I could grow. And most importantly, I could move forward without letting that failure define me. That's the secret. Learning to focus on what you can control instead of what you can't. It's not always easy, but it's freeing. It shifts your energy away from frustration and helplessness and into action and empowerment. It reminds you that no matter what's happening around you, you are never powerless. It's also important to realize that controlling your reaction doesn't mean suppressing your emotions. Feel what you need to feel. Be angry, be sad, be frustrated, but don't let those feelings run the show. Feel them, then take a deep breath and ask yourself, what can I do about this? How do I want to respond? That pause, that moment of choice is where your power is. You see, life isn't about eliminating every challenge. That's impossible. Life is about building the strength and wisdom to handle whatever comes your way. It's about being adaptable, resilient, and calm in the face of uncertainty. And every time you choose to control your reaction, you're strengthening that muscle. You're becoming the kind of person who doesn't just survive life's storms, but thrives in spite of them. So the next time life throws you a curveball, and it will remember this, you don't have to control everything. You just have to control yourself. And that, my friend, is enough to change everything. Number 8, stop waiting for the perfect moment. How long have you been waiting for the perfect moment? You know what I mean? That magical time when everything feels just right, when the stars align, and when all the obstacles disappear. We tell ourselves, I'll start when I have more time, when I feel more confident, or when I have more money. But here's the hard truth. There is no perfect moment. There never will be. Life isn't designed us a flawless opportunity wrapped up with a bow. The perfect moment is a myth, and the longer we wait for it, the more time we waste. You see, life is messy, it's unpredictable. It's full of uncertainties, and if you're holding out for some ideal circumstance to begin, you'll be waiting forever. I've seen so many people postpone their dreams, their goals, and their happiness because they're convinced they need the right time. But let me tell you this, the right time to start is when you decide to start. Period. Think about it. How many opportunities have you missed because you hesitated, because you doubted yourself, or because you were waiting for things to feel just right? The truth is, most of the time, we're not even waiting for external circumstances to change. We're waiting for ourselves to feel ready, for some magical confidence to appear. But let me let you in on a little secret. You don't need to be 100% ready. You just need to begin. The confidence will come as you move forward. Starting is the hardest part, isn't it? There's this voice in your head saying, what if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if people judge me? But here's what you need to understand. Every single person who has ever achieved anything worthwhile started before they were ready. They started when they were scared, unsure, and uncertain. They started despite the doubts, despite the risks, despite not having everything figured out. Take a moment to think about the people you admire, the entrepreneurs, the artists, the leaders, the innovators. What do you think? They were handed perfect conditions to begin? Of course not. They took messy action. They stepped out even when the timing wasn't ideal. And that's what separates those who achieve their goals from those who don't. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. Here's the thing, the world doesn't wait. Time keeps moving whether you take action or not. And every day you spend waiting for the perfect moment is a day you'll never get back. Imagine looking back years from now and realizing you could have started sooner, that you let fear or uncertainty keep you stuck. That's a painful thought, isn't it? But the good news is you can change that starting today. When you start, you don't have to have everything figured out. You don't need a perfect plan or all the answers. What you need is a single step, a small, simple action that moves you closer to where you want to be. Maybe it's making a phone call, signing up for that course, or even just writing down your goal. Whatever it is, start now. Don't overthink it. Just take that first step and then the next, and then the next. Here's what happens when you stop waiting for perfection and start taking action. Momentum builds. Each step you take makes the next one easier. You start learning, growing, and figuring things out as you go. And before you know it, you're further along than you ever thought possible. You see, waiting doesn't make things easier. It doesn't make you more prepared. It doesn't guarantee success. All waiting does is delay the life you want to live. But action, that's where the magic happens. Action creates clarity. Action builds confidence. Action turns dreams into reality. So, my friend, stop waiting. Stop waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect feeling, the perfect circumstance. Life isn't about waiting, it's about doing. It's about starting messy, starting scared, starting imperfectly, but starting. Because the truth is, the best moment to begin is right here, right now. Don't wait for someday. Someday is today. Number 9, You're never too old to start something new. Who decided there's an age limit for chasing dreams? Who said there's a too late when it comes to starting something new? That's a story we tell ourselves, a story that keeps us stuck. But here's what I know: you are never too old to start something new, to reinvent yourself, or to go after what sets your soul on fire. Time doesn't dictate your potential. Your belief in yourself does. I've heard people say, I wish I had started this when I was younger. And sure, starting early can be an advantage, but life isn't about racing against the clock. It's about growth, about learning, about making the most of the time you have. Every moment you spend wishing for a younger version of yourself is a moment you could spend becoming the person you're meant to be right now. Age isn't a barrier, it's a mindset. Think about it. Some of the most successful, inspiring people didn't start until later in life. Colonel Sanders started KFC in his 60s. Grandma Moses, a celebrated painter, didn't pick up a brush until her 70s. These people didn't let the calendar dictate their dreams. They let their passion guide them. And that's the key. It's not about how old you are, it's about how hungry you are for change, for growth, for something meaningful. Starting something new might feel overwhelming, especially if you've spent years walking a different path. But let me remind you of this. Every step you've taken so far has prepared you for this moment. The experiences you've had, the lessons you've learned, the challenges you've overcome, they've all shaped you into someone who's ready for the next chapter. You're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. Maybe you're worried about how people will react. Maybe you think, what will they say if I suddenly decide to switch careers, start a business, or pick up a new skill? Let me tell you something, people will always have opinions, but their opinions don't define you. Your life is yours to live, and the only approval you need is your own. Don't let fear of judgment hold you back from what could be the most fulfilling decision of your life. It's also important to remember that starting something new doesn't mean abandoning everything else. You don't have to leave behind the life you've built to embrace new opportunities. It's not about throwing everything away, it's about expanding, about adding layers to who you are. It's about saying, I can grow, I can learn, I can evolve. Sometimes starting something new requires you to let go of the belief that you need to have it all figured out. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need all the answers. What you need is a willingness to take the first step, even if it's small. Sign up for that class, make that phone call, start researching that idea. Every little action moves you closer to where you want to be. And yes, it might be challenging. Change often is. You'll probably stumble along the way, but that's part of the process. The beauty of starting later in life is that you've already faced challenges. You know how to pick yourself up. You know how to adapt. You've built resilience over the years, and that resilience will carry you forward. Think about how incredible it is to have the opportunity to keep growing, no matter your age. Every day is a chance to reinvent yourself, to explore something new, to discover talents and passions you didn't even know you had. That's the beauty of being human. We're never finished. There's always more to learn, more to experience, more to give. So, if there's something you've been holding back on because you think it's too late, I'm here to tell you it's not. It's not too late to start, to dream, to create, to live. Don't let the years behind you define the years ahead of you. Your journey is yours, and it's never too late to take it in a new direction. Start now. You're not running out of time. You're stepping into it. Number 10. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. You've probably heard it before. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. It's one of those sayings that we all nod to. But when it's time to put in the work, it's easy to forget. Let's talk about why this is so important and what it really means for you. Talent is a beautiful thing. It's that gift some people are born with, whether it's in sports, art, business, or anything else. But talent on its own isn't enough. I've seen people with extraordinary abilities fail because they didn't put in the effort. I've also seen people who didn't have that natural gift go on to achieve greatness simply because they outworked the competition. You see, success isn't a passive thing. It doesn't just fall into your lap because you have a little bit of talent. You've got to earn it every single day. It's the effort you put in when no one's watching. It's the hours you spend refining your skills, overcoming obstacles, and pushing through when others have given up. You might be the most talented person in the room, but if you're not putting in the effort, if you're not willing to work harder than anyone else, then your talent is wasted. And I know it's easy to look at someone who seems like they have it all, whether they're good at something or successful in life, and think they've got it easy. They've got the talent. But here's the truth. No one sees the early mornings, the late nights, the sacrifice, and the frustration that happens behind the scenes. Talent doesn't take the place of work. It's the work that takes talent to the next level. Think about it like this. There's a reason why some of the world's top athletes, musicians, and entrepreneurs keep pushing themselves, even after they've reached the pinnacle of success. It's not because they've mastered their craft and can just coast along. It's because they know that if they stop working, someone else is going to catch up. Someone else is going to take their place. Hard work is what keeps them at the top. It's what keeps them improving, even when they're already great. And let's be honest, hard work isn't always glamorous. It's not always about the spotlight, the awards, or the applause. Sometimes it's about grinding it out when things feel impossible. It's about sticking with something when the results aren't coming as fast as you'd like. But that's when growth happens. When you push yourself beyond what you thought was possible, when you refuse to quit just because things aren't going your way, that's when you build real success. It's also important to realize that working hard doesn't mean working without strategy. You don't want to work just for the sake of working. You want to work smart. That means putting in the effort where it matters the most. It means focusing on what will actually get you closer to your goals. But the point is, you need to be consistent. You need to be committed. And when talent shows up without the effort to back it up, you'll always be playing catch up. Think about a time in your life when you worked hard to achieve something. Maybe it was a job, a project, or a personal goal. You probably faced setbacks. You probably doubted yourself at some point. But you kept going, right? You pushed through when it would have been easier to quit. And that hard work paid off. You saw the results because you didn't let talent be the only thing standing in your way. You let effort, determination, and resilience carry you to the finish line. So what's the takeaway here? Talent can open doors, but it's your effort, your relentless pursuit of improvement, that will keep those doors open and allow you to walk through them. You can have all the talent in the world, but without hard work, you're not going to reach your full potential. And if you don't have talent, well, that's okay too. Because hard work, perseverance, and the willingness to learn and grow will always put you in a better position than just relying on talent alone. Hard work isn't a one-time thing. It's a habit. It's a lifestyle. And it's the key to unlocking everything you're capable of. Talent might give you a head start, but it's hard work that carries you across the finish line. Number 11. Don't be afraid to say no. There's a lesson I've learned over the years that I can't stress enough. Don't be afraid to say no. This might sound simple, but it's one of the most powerful tools for protecting your time, your energy, and your focus. A lot of people get caught up in the idea that they have to say yes to everything because they don't want to disappoint anyone, or they want to appear accommodating, or they're just afraid of missing out. But here's the truth, saying yes to everything is often the easiest way to say no to your own dreams and goals. Think about it. Every time you say yes to something, you're making a commitment. You're agreeing to spend your time, energy, or resources on something, whether it's a project, a meeting, a request, or even just a simple favor. Now ask yourself, do you really have the time or the energy for that? Is it aligned with your priorities? Is it taking you closer to where you want to be? Or is it just another distraction that pulls you away from what truly matters? When you say yes without considering these things, you're essentially saying no to everything else, the things that truly deserve your attention. The thing is, saying no isn't about being rude or dismissive. It's about protecting your own boundaries and being mindful of where you allocate your energy. Every successful person I know, every leader, entrepreneur, or high achiever has learned to say no in a way that honors their own time and purpose. It's not that they don't want to help others or be there for people, they absolutely do. But they've learned that in order to show up for others in the best way, they first have to show up for themselves. Saying no can be difficult, especially when you're trying to be liked, trying to fit in, or simply trying to be helpful. But every time you say yes to something that doesn't serve you, you're actually saying no to something that could be better for your growth and well-being. And let's be real, if you're constantly saying yes, you'll find yourself spread too thin, overwhelmed, and exhausted. You'll have no energy left for the things that matter most, and you'll wonder why you're not making progress. This is the result of trying to please everyone and not protecting your own space. Here's what you need to understand: you don't owe anyone an explanation for saying no. You don't have to justify your reasons, and you don't have to feel guilty. Your time is yours, and it's your right to choose how you spend it. Saying no isn't about shutting people down or being selfish. It's about prioritizing what truly matters in your life. It's about making sure that you're not just busy, but that you're busy doing the things that move you towards your goals and dreams. Let's take a moment to think about it from a different angle. How many times have you said yes to something and then regretted it later? Maybe it was a meeting that wasn't productive, a commitment that drained you, or an event that added more stress to your life. We've all been there. And the thing is, when you keep saying yes to things that don't serve you, you're also teaching others that it's okay to take up your time without considering whether or not it's actually a good use of it. Over time, you can find yourself in situations that you didn't want to be in, simply because you didn't have the courage to say no. Saying no is an act of self-respect. It's a way of telling yourself that your time and energy are valuable. When you say no, you're showing up for your future, your ambitions, and your mental well-being. It allows you to create space for the things that matter most, whether it's working on your personal development, focusing on a passion project, or simply taking time to rest and recharge. It's not always easy to say no, especially when the request comes from people you care about or situations where you feel obligated. But remember this: by saying no to the things that don't align with your purpose, you're saying yes to yourself and your goals. It's an investment in your future, in the life you want to build, and in the person you want to become. And here's another thing to consider: when you say no, you create opportunities for others to step in and take responsibility for their own actions. You don't have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. By saying no, you give others the chance to grow, solve problems, and contribute in their own way. It's a win-win for everyone involved. So don't be afraid to say no. Don't be afraid to protect your time and your peace of mind. It's one of the most empowering things you can do. Your goals, your dreams, and your well-being deserve your full attention. Saying no is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength, clarity, and confidence in knowing what truly matters. So start saying no with confidence. Say no to the things that aren't aligned with your vision, and watch how much more you can accomplish when you start saying yes to yourself. Number 12, prioritize your goals. One of the most crucial lessons I've learned in life is the importance of prioritizing your goals. And let me tell you, it can be so easy to lose sight of that, especially in a world that's constantly pushing distractions your way. You get caught up in everything, and suddenly your goals are buried beneath a mountain of urgent tasks that aren't really all that important in the grand scheme of things. Here's the thing: you only have so much time, and you can't do everything. We've all heard the saying, you can't be everything to everyone. It's true. You have to get really clear about what matters most to you and focus on those things. That's where the power of prioritization comes in. When you focus your energy on the right goals, the right tasks, the right relationships, everything else starts to fall into place. Now, Let me ask you a question. How often have you found yourself running from one thing to another, feeling busy but not really accomplishing much? I know I've been there. You're hustling, putting in the hours, and yet somehow you're not getting closer to the things that truly matter. You're reacting to every little thing that pops up without ever taking the time to think about what you actually want to achieve in the first place. Here's where prioritizing comes in. You need to ask yourself what's truly important. What are the goals that align with your long-term vision? What's going to move the needle in your life? Once you get clear on that, it's about eliminating the distractions and saying no to the things that pull you off course. And trust me, the world is full of distractions. People will always have something for you to do, and new opportunities will pop up left and right. But if you don't make a conscious decision to prioritize your goals, you'll find yourself scattered and overwhelmed. One of the best pieces of advice I've ever received is to focus on one thing at a time. I used to be the kind of person who would juggle multiple projects at once, thinking that the more I did, the more I'd accomplish. But what I realized was that spreading myself thin wasn't helping me, it was holding me back. I wasn't giving anything the attention it deserved. Instead of progressing, I was constantly in a state of doing without actually getting closer to my big picture. Prioritization is about being strategic with your time. It's about making sure that what you're working on right now aligns with your vision for the future. You have to decide what's worth your energy, and that's not always easy. Sometimes it means letting go of things you love, letting go of things that seem urgent but aren't actually essential to your growth. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but when you do this, you make space for what truly matters. The other part of prioritization is being realistic about what you can achieve. I think sometimes we get overwhelmed because we set ourselves up with too many goals at once, thinking that we need to tackle everything right away. But if you're honest with yourself, you know that's not possible. Success doesn't come from doing everything at once. It comes from taking consistent, focused action on the right things. Break your goals down into manageable chunks and give yourself permission to focus on one thing at a time. The best results come when you're fully immersed in what you're doing, not when you're constantly jumping between tasks. And let's not forget the power of saying no to things that don't serve your priorities. It's easy to say yes to every opportunity that comes your way, but that's a quick way to spread yourself too thin. When you know what your top priorities are, it becomes easier to turn down things that don't align with your goals. You don't have to please everyone or say yes to everything. Saying no is a powerful tool that helps you stay focused on what matters most. But here's the trick. Prioritizing doesn't mean ignoring everything else in your life. It's not about neglecting your relationships or your health or the things you enjoy. Prioritization is about balance. It's about recognizing that there are multiple aspects of your life that are important, but not all of them need your attention at the same time. You can still make time for the things that bring you joy, but you have to recognize that when you're working on your goals, that needs to be your primary focus. Number 13, money isn't everything, but it is important. Have you ever felt like you're constantly spinning your wheels, trying to keep up with everything and everyone, yet you don't seem to get anywhere? I know I've been there. Caught in the whirlwind of daily tasks, demands from all sides, and the pressure to be on top of everything. It's exhausting, isn't it? We've all been taught that success is about working harder, being busier, and constantly pushing forward. But what if I told you that sometimes success is more about slowing down and giving yourself permission to take a step back? It might sound counterintuitive, but hear me out. We live in a world that constantly tells us to hustle, to be productive every single minute of the day. Social media bombards us with images of people achieving their dreams at lightning speed, and it can make you feel like you're falling behind if you don't do the same. But what if we've been looking at productivity all wrong? What if slowing down could actually help us achieve more in the long run? I used to believe that the only way to succeed was to keep pushing myself, even when I was burned out. Every morning I'd wake up with a to-do list longer than my arm, determined to check off every item. But guess what happened? Instead of feeling fulfilled, I felt drained. Instead of being productive, I was overwhelmed. My mind was constantly racing, trying to keep up with everything. and I wasn't giving myself the space to truly focus on what mattered. Over time, I started to realize that true productivity doesn't come from constantly doing more. It comes from doing the right things with intention and focus. When you slow down and give yourself the time to reflect, plan, and prioritize, you can actually get more done. It's about quality over quantity. Instead of doing 100 things poorly, do a few things really well. Give each task the attention it deserves and pour your energy into what's most important. It's about being mindful of where you invest your time and energy and not spreading yourself too thin. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, but if I don't keep moving forward, I'll fall behind. I get it. That fear of missing out or not doing enough can be paralyzing. But here's the thing, slowing down doesn't mean you're not working hard. It means you're giving yourself the space to do better, to think clearer, and to act with more purpose. By taking a step back, you're actually setting yourself up for greater success in the future. One of the hardest parts of slowing down is learning to embrace rest. In our culture, rest is often seen as a luxury, something you only get when you've earned it. But rest is not a reward, it's a necessity. It's during rest that your mind can recharge, your creativity can flow, and your body can heal. If you never give yourself time to rest, you're essentially running on empty. And that's when burnout happens. It's not sustainable. That's why it's so important to create space in your life for relaxation, even if it's just a few minutes each day. Trust me, those moments of calm can make all the difference in how you approach your work and your life. Another aspect of slowing down that I've found incredibly powerful is the ability to be present. How often do you find yourself multitasking, trying to juggle everything at once? We all do it, but when we spread ourselves too thin, we lose the ability to truly engage with what's in front of us. Being present is about focusing on one thing at a time and giving it your full attention. Whether you're working on a project, having a conversation with a friend, or simply enjoying a quiet moment by yourself, being present allows you to experience life more deeply and with more meaning. It's also important to understand that slowing down doesn't mean you're not ambitious or that you're not working hard. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Slowing down gives you the opportunity to be more strategic with your time and your energy. It helps you make better decisions, stay focused on what really matters, and avoid getting lost in the noise. It's about being intentional with every move you make and recognizing that sometimes less is more. So, if you're feeling like you're running in circles, constantly hustling and never catching a break, I encourage you to take a step back, reevaluate what's truly important to you, and give yourself the time and space to focus on those things. Remember, success isn't just about doing more, it's about doing the right things with intention and purpose. Slowing down can give you the clarity and the energy you need to move forward with greater focus and determination. It's not about stopping, but rather finding a rhythm that works for you so you can create a life that feels both productive and fulfilling. Number 14, don't compare yourself to others. Have you ever found yourself caught up in the middle of a task, only to look up and realize hours have passed? It's as though time slipped through your fingers without you even noticing. I've been there more times than I can count, and it always gets me thinking about how we spend our time and how much of it we truly own. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to get swept up in the day-to-day grind, letting each moment pass by without much thought. But what if we could start taking control of our time? What if we could begin to shape our days instead of letting them be shaped by everything and everyone around us? At first, it sounds impossible, doesn't it? After all, we have so many things pulling at us: emails to answer, meetings to attend, phone calls to make, and a never-ending list of tasks. It can feel like there's always something demanding your attention. But what if I told you that by being more intentional with your time, you could actually get more out of it without feeling like you're constantly running on empty? When I first started thinking about time in this way, I realized I had been living on autopilot for far too long. My day would start with a rush, checking my phone, responding to messages, and diving straight into whatever task was at the top of my list. Before I knew it, hours had passed and I hadn't made much progress on anything that actually mattered. It wasn't that I wasn't working hard, it was that I was working without direction. And that's where the problem lies for a lot of people. We get caught in the whirlwind of life, But we don't always take the time to stop and think about what we're actually doing. We don't always ask ourselves if what we're spending our time on is really worth it. The truth is, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. The difference is how we use those hours. I've learned that the key to time management isn't about packing more into your day. It's about focusing on what truly matters and eliminating distractions that pull you away from your goals. It's about being intentional, making decisions about where you put your energy, and understanding that not every task is equally important. Now, I get it. You may be thinking it's easy to say that, but how do I actually make it happen? That's the hard part, right? It's one thing to recognize that time is precious, but it's another to actually start making changes. For me, it started with a simple decision to stop multitasking. I had convinced myself that doing 10 things at once was a sign of productivity. In reality, it was just exhausting me and leading to mistakes. When I made the conscious choice to focus on one thing at a time, I found that I was able to work more efficiently and do a better job. Being intentional with your time also means learning to say no. For a long time, I thought I had to say yes to every opportunity, every request, every invitation, thinking that the more I said yes, the more successful I'd be. But I quickly learned that saying yes to everything meant I was saying no to the things that actually mattered. Saying no doesn't mean you're being rude or unkind. It means you're being respectful of your time and your priorities. It's about being clear on what's important to you and giving yourself permission to turn down anything that doesn't align with your values or goals. And here's something I want to stress: time management doesn't mean you need to be busy every second of the day. In fact, some of the best decisions I've made came from the moments when I gave myself the space to breathe, to think, and to reflect. It's during those quiet moments that you can tap into your creativity, come up with new ideas, and get clear on what you truly want. So don't feel guilty for taking breaks. Rest is just as important as work. In fact, it's often during rest that we come up with our best ideas and find the clarity we need to move forward. One of the most powerful things you can do is establish routines and set boundaries around your time. Having a set routine helps to structure your day in a way that allows you to focus on your priorities without getting distracted by all the small things that tend to pop up. Boundaries, on the other hand, protect your time and energy. Whether it's setting aside time for deep work or designating certain hours for personal time, having boundaries ensures that you're not constantly being pulled in every direction. When I began taking control of my time, I noticed a shift not just in my productivity, but in my mindset. I became more present in everything I did. I stopped rushing through tasks just to get them done and started giving my full attention to whatever was in front of me. And you know what? That change made a world of difference. I was able to accomplish more with less effort, and I felt more fulfilled at the end of the day. It's easy to let time slip away from us, but it's also easy to take back control. It starts with making small changes, being mindful of how you spend your time, learning to say no, creating space for rest, and building routines that help you focus on what matters most. When you begin to treat your time with respect, you'll find that you have more of it to do the things that truly make you happy and help you reach your goals. It's not about being busy, it's about being intentional. And once you start doing that, you'll realize just how much more you can achieve. Number 15, embrace discomfort. We're all constantly moving, ticking off tasks on our to-do lists, checking off boxes on our goals. But how often do we stop to reflect on whether we're truly heading in the right direction? It's easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle, convinced that forward motion equals success. But sometimes it's the quiet moments of reflection that can reveal the most powerful insights. The moments when we ask ourselves, what am I really striving for? Am I working towards something meaningful? And if not, what needs to change? I remember a time in my life when I was doing all the right things, or so I thought. I was working hard, pushing through every challenge, staying busy and focused. But at the end of the day, I felt a sense of emptiness, like I was running in circles. Something was missing, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. I realized then that I was so wrapped up in my daily tasks and goals that I had lost sight of the bigger picture. I had forgotten to ask myself the most important question: what do I truly want from life? This might sound like a simple question, but when you really dig into it, it can be a game changer. We all want different things, and our definition of success might vary from person to person. For some, it might be financial freedom, while for others, it could be personal growth, relationships, or making an impact in the world. Whatever it is, it's crucial to take a step back and define it for yourself. What does your ideal life look like? Not the life you think you're supposed to have, not the life everyone else is telling you to have, but the life that truly resonates with you. Once I started asking myself that question, I began to see everything with new eyes. Suddenly, the things that used to stress me out didn't seem so important anymore. I was able to let go of the pressure to keep up with everyone else, and instead focused on the path that felt right for me. I realized that the real challenge wasn't about achieving success, it was about defining what success truly meant for me. And it wasn't just about the destination, it was about the journey, the steps I took along the way, and the people I met who shared in that journey. As I began to embrace this new perspective, I found myself making decisions that were aligned with my values. I stopped saying yes to things that drained my energy or didn't serve my greater purpose. I learned to set boundaries and prioritize what truly mattered to me. It wasn't easy at first. There were moments when I felt guilty for saying no or for taking a different path from what others expected of me. But the more I trusted my instincts, the more I realized that I was on the right track. I was building a life that felt authentic, a life that was true to who I was and what I valued. This shift in perspective didn't happen overnight. But over time, it became clear to me that we don't need to have it all figured out from the start. Life is a journey of self-discovery, and every step along the way is a chance to learn more about who we are and what we want. The key is to stay open to the process, to trust that the right answers will come when we're ready for them. And sometimes that means taking a step back and giving ourselves the time and space to reflect, to adjust our goals, and to redefine what success really looks like. If you're reading this and feeling a little lost or unsure of your direction, know that you're not alone. We all face moments of doubt, moments when we question if we're on the right path. But the important thing is to keep asking the right questions, to keep checking in with yourself and ensuring that your actions align with your true desires. It's okay to pivot, to change course, and to redefine your goals as you go. The journey is yours to create, and there's no one else who can define your success but you. One thing I've learned along the way is that success isn't a destination, it's a state of mind. It's about living a life that feels fulfilling, meaningful, and true to who you are. And as long as you stay committed to the process of self-discovery and growth, you're already on the right track. So take a moment today to ask yourself, what do I truly want? And let that answer guide you toward the life you've always dreamed of. It's not about following a set path, it's about forging your own and finding the courage to walk it, step by step. The journey may not always be easy, but it's always worth it when you're headed in the direction that truly resonates with your heart. Number 16, learn to forgive. We've all been there, haven't we? You wake up, your to-do list seems endless, and the pressure starts to build. Maybe it's the demands of work, or the constant juggling act of trying to balance personal life with professional responsibilities. But here's the truth, most of us are far too hard on ourselves. We set these high expectations, believing that in order to be successful or productive, we need to do it all. But what if I told you that the secret to a more fulfilling life isn't about doing more, but doing less and doing it better? I know it sounds counterintuitive, especially when we're constantly being told to hustle harder, push ourselves further, and never stop. The modern world often feels like it's built on the idea that productivity equals value. But when we're constantly on the go, barely able to catch our breath, is all that hustle really serving us in the long run? We might be checking off tasks, but are we actually getting closer to the things that matter most? Or are we just filling our days with more and more noise? What I've learned over the years is that true success doesn't come from doing everything, it comes from doing the right things. It comes from narrowing your focus and dedicating your energy to what truly makes a difference in your life. It's easy to get lost in the never-ending demands of work and personal obligations. But if we don't pause and assess, we can end up wasting time on things that don't bring us joy or fulfillment. The real challenge is not about achieving more, it's about prioritizing what matters most. Imagine this: instead of looking at your list and feeling overwhelmed, you look at it and think, what are the few things that will really move the needle today? Maybe it's a project at work that requires deep focus, or perhaps it's carving out time to nurture your relationships or invest in self-care. The idea is to stop spreading yourself too thin and start intentionally choosing the tasks and activities that truly align with your goals and values. The concept of doing less doesn't mean neglecting your responsibilities. It means being intentional with your time and energy. It's about simplifying your approach and cutting through the clutter. Think of it as decluttering your life, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally as well. When you remove the excess, you create space for the things that truly bring value, whether that's personal growth, creativity, or building meaningful connections with others. You might be wondering, though, how do we identify what matters most? It's all about getting in touch with your values and what you want from life. What are your priorities? What do you truly care about? And then once you have clarity on that, it's about designing your life and your day-to-day choices to align with those priorities. This isn't a one-time thing. It's an ongoing process of reassessment and refinement. I'll be honest, it can be a little scary at first. Letting go of things that feel like obligations or tasks that others expect from you can stir up feelings of guilt or anxiety. We live in a world where saying no is often viewed as a weakness or lack of commitment. But here's the reality: saying no to things that don't serve your bigger picture is actually an act of strength and self-respect. It's an acknowledgement that your time is valuable and your energy is worth protecting. Over the years, I've had to learn how to set boundaries in both my personal and professional life. I had to get comfortable with saying no to things that weren't aligned with my goals or that drained me emotionally. At first, it was difficult, but with time, I realized that by saying no, I was actually saying yes to the things that mattered. I was giving myself permission to focus on what would truly help me grow and feel fulfilled. It was a game changer. We all have limited time and energy. That's just a fact of life. And while it might feel like there's always more to do, what we often forget is that our productivity and happiness don't come from the sheer volume of tasks we complete. They come from doing the right tasks, the ones that contribute to our long-term happiness and well-being. When you stop trying to do everything and start focusing on the things that matter, you'll notice a shift. You'll feel more energized, more present, and more aligned with your true self. So next time you find yourself overwhelmed by your never-ending to-do list, remember that you don't need to do it all. It's okay to take a step back and ask yourself, what are the few things that, if done well, will truly move me forward? The key is to stop chasing endless productivity and start embracing the power of doing less, but doing it with intention, focus, and purpose. In the end, that's what leads to a more fulfilling and meaningful life. Number 17, stop making excuses. There's this pressure we often feel, right? The pressure to always be moving forward, to keep chasing bigger goals, and to stay ahead of the curve. But here's the thing: sometimes the real growth happens when we pause, reflect, and give ourselves permission to breathe. Life doesn't always have to be this race where you're constantly sprinting to the next finish line. In fact, what if I told you that slowing down can actually help you move forward? It sounds almost backwards, doesn't it? The world we live in today celebrates the hustle. We see it everywhere: the stories of people grinding 16-hour days, sacrificing weekends, and burning the candle at both ends. We're led to believe that in order to be successful, we need to push ourselves to our limits, constantly trying to achieve more. But when we focus only on the destination, we forget to enjoy the journey or even appreciate the progress we've already made. More importantly, we risk losing sight of what truly matters. It's something I had to learn the hard way. Like many people, I was caught up in the idea that in order to be productive, I had to constantly be working, constantly be striving for something more. But what I didn't realize was that my constant push was actually draining me. I started feeling burnt out, overwhelmed, and disconnected from the things that made me feel alive. And when I stepped back for a moment, I realized something important. My best work wasn't coming from overworking myself. It was coming from allowing myself space to think, to reflect, and to rest. This doesn't mean that you should abandon your goals or stop pushing forward. What it means is that you should give yourself permission to move at a pace that allows for both progress and rest. You're not a machine. You don't have to be on all the time. And when you give yourself that space, when you slow down just enough to see where you are and where you're headed, you might find that you're actually more productive in the long run. You get clearer on your priorities, you're more focused when you do work, and you're better able to tackle challenges that come your way. In a world that glorifies constant busyness, it's easy to feel guilty about taking a step back. We're made to feel like we need to keep moving, keep pushing, and keep doing more. But it's okay to pause. It's okay to take a moment to breathe, to reflect, and to make sure that you're not just working for the sake of working. True productivity isn't about how much you do, it's about how effectively you're doing it. It's about working smarter, not harder. Taking time to slow down doesn't mean you're lazy or unambitious. It means that you're being intentional about your energy, your focus, and your goals. When you allow yourself to reset, to recharge, and to reflect, you come back stronger and more aligned with your purpose. You'll find that your ideas flow more freely, your creativity is sharper, and your drive is stronger. There's another side to this too, the emotional aspect of it. Slowing down gives you the chance to check in with yourself, to see how you're really feeling, and to make sure you're not neglecting your emotional health. Often we push ourselves so hard that we don't even realize how overwhelmed or stressed we've become. By taking moments to slow down, you create space to check in with your mental and emotional well-being, which in turn helps you make better decisions and approach your challenges with a clearer mindset. When you give yourself permission to pause, you start to see things from a new perspective. You might even find that the solutions to your problems were always there, you just needed to slow down enough to recognize them. Life isn't about chasing after the next thing as fast as possible. It's about finding the balance that allows you to grow, to evolve, and to thrive at your own pace. So if you're feeling burnt out or overwhelmed, know this: it's okay to slow down. It's not about quitting, it's about finding the right rhythm for yourself. It's about making sure that you're taking care of your well-being while still working toward your goals. Don't let the noise of the world convince you that you have to keep pushing nonstop. Trust that when you give yourself permission to rest, reflect, and recharge, you'll come back with renewed energy, focus, and clarity. In the end, it's not about the hustle. It's about finding the balance that lets you achieve success while maintaining peace of mind. Number 18. Consistency is everything. Life is a journey. And sometimes the toughest part isn't the destination, it's the path that gets us there. We all face challenges, obstacles that feel almost insurmountable, situations that test our patience, our strength, and even our sanity. There are moments when it feels like nothing is going our way, when all our efforts seem to be falling short, and the weight of it all just seems unbearable. But what if I told you that those tough times, the ones that seem the most difficult to endure, are often the very things that shape us into who we're meant to be? It's easy to feel like life is against you when things aren't going as planned. The world can feel like a giant wave crashing over you, leaving you gasping for air, wondering when the storm will pass. But here's the thing, every single person has faced adversity. Some of us wear it on our sleeves, others hide it behind a smile. But we all experience moments when life feels like it's testing us. What sets us apart is how we respond to those moments. In those times of struggle, it's so tempting to give up, to throw in the towel, to just walk away and say, this isn't worth it. But what if you allowed yourself to pause, to take a breath, and to consider that maybe the struggle is the very thing that is helping you grow? It's easy to look at someone's success story and think that it happened overnight, that it was smooth sailing the whole way. But the truth is, behind every successful person, there's a story of persistence, failure, and resilience. Think about the toughest moments you've experienced. The moments when you felt like you were drowning in challenges. Those moments can feel crushing, but if you take a step back and reflect, you'll realize that they were shaping you in ways you couldn't have anticipated. Adversity teaches you lessons that success simply can't. When you face hardship, you learn about your own strength, your limits, and your ability to overcome. It's in those moments that you build resilience, the kind of inner strength that doesn't break when things get tough. It's easy to get lost in the idea that success is a straight line, that you set a goal, work towards it, and achieve it without encountering any bumps along the way. But that's just not the reality. Life is messy, and sometimes it's the detours, the failures, and the setbacks that teach us the most. Imagine if everything you ever wanted came to you without effort. Would you really appreciate it the same way? Would it be as meaningful? The things that require struggle, that demand your persistence and resilience, are often the things that are most worth having. The important thing is not to get discouraged in the face of adversity, but to keep going even when it feels impossible. It's about showing up for yourself even when it's hard, because those are the moments that make you stronger. It's about knowing that the path won't always be smooth, but you have the power to navigate it, to move through the obstacles, and to come out on the other side with more strength and wisdom. Every person who has ever achieved anything worthwhile has faced adversity. Think about all the great figures in history. The entrepreneurs, the creators, the innovators, their journeys weren't easy. They were filled with setbacks, doubts, and moments of frustration. But what they had that made all the difference was their ability to keep going, to push through the challenges, and to keep their eyes on the bigger picture. They didn't let the hard times define them. Instead, they used them as fuel to keep moving forward. It's so easy to want to quit when things get tough, to want to take the easy way out. But here's the thing, the easy way isn't always the best way. The challenges you face now are the ones that are preparing you for what's ahead. Every failure, every setback, every moment of doubt is an opportunity for growth. They teach you how to persevere, how to be resourceful, and how to stay resilient when life doesn't go according to plan. And even when you feel like you've reached your limit, that's often when you're on the verge of a breakthrough. Think about it, the moments of greatest growth often come after the hardest struggles. It's when you're pushed to your absolute limit that you discover what you're truly capable of. So the next time you're facing a challenge, don't let it stop you. Instead, lean into it. Use it as a stepping stone to become stronger, wiser, and more capable of handling whatever comes your way. When life gets tough, don't see it as a sign to quit. See it as an opportunity to grow. Embrace the struggle, because it's in those tough moments that you learn the most about yourself and what you're capable of. Every challenge is a chance to become more resilient, more determined, and more prepared for the future. Remember, the path to success is rarely straight, but with persistence and resilience, you can navigate it with grace and strength. Keep going even when it feels impossible, because it's those moments that will define your success. Number 19. No one owes you anything. It's fascinating how life has this way of challenging us. There's this ongoing rhythm, a constant ebb and flow of good and bad times. And sometimes it feels like the bad moments just keep coming, one after another. You might be sitting there, asking yourself why it has to be so difficult. Why does it feel like nothing ever seems to go your way? It's easy to get caught up in this mindset of frustration. And in moments like these, it's perfectly normal to feel overwhelmed. But let me tell you something, those challenging times, the ones that push you to your limits, are often the ones that define who you are and shape what you become. Every person has a story to tell, a journey filled with highs and lows, triumphs and failures, moments of certainty and moments of doubt. And while it's easy to look at someone's success and think it was smooth sailing for them, the reality is that most of the time, success is built on overcoming obstacles. It's in the hard moments, when everything feels impossible, that we often find our true strength. Think about it for a second. The greatest stories of resilience and success don't come from people who had everything handed to them. They come from people who faced adversity, who pushed through the setbacks, and who didn't give up even when it felt like there was no way forward. Life, in all its unpredictability, can be a harsh teacher. It doesn't always follow the script we write for ourselves. You may have had plans, big dreams, clear goals, and a roadmap of how you thought things were supposed to unfold. And then, out of nowhere, life hands you a curveball, knocking you off course. Whether it's a personal setback, a career disappointment, or a series of unfortunate events, it's natural to feel discouraged. It's easy to want to give up, to throw your hands in the air and say, I can't do this anymore. But here's the truth: the path to success, happiness, and fulfillment is rarely linear. In fact, it's often the messy, unexpected detours that lead to the most rewarding experiences. Think about some of the most successful people in the world, those who have achieved greatness in their careers or personal lives. I can almost guarantee that their stories are filled with struggles. They didn't just wake up one day at the top of their game. They faced hardships, failures, and disappointments along the way. But what sets them apart isn't that they didn't face obstacles, it's that they didn't let those obstacles stop them. They kept going, kept pushing forward, even when the odds were stacked against them. They understood that failure isn't a sign to quit. It's simply a stepping stone to something greater. Now, I know that when you're in the middle of a difficult situation, it can be hard to see the bigger picture. When you're feeling down, it's easy to get stuck in the weeds, focused only on the immediate pain or frustration. But if you step back and look at the broader scope of your journey, you'll realize that these tough moments are shaping you into someone stronger. It's in these moments of hardship that you learn the most about yourself. You discover what you're truly capable of when your back is against the wall. You develop the resilience to keep going, even when things get tough. Life doesn't give us the privilege of avoiding hard times, but it does give us the ability to choose how we respond. You have the power to rise above the challenges you face, to use them as fuel for growth, and to move forward with a sense of purpose and determination. Each setback is an opportunity to learn. Each obstacle is a lesson in disguise. And with each lesson, you become more equipped to handle whatever comes next. You don't have to have all the answers right now. It's okay to not know exactly how things are going to work out. The important thing is to keep moving, even when you don't have it all figured out. Sometimes the simple act of showing up, of continuing to put one foot in front of the other, is what makes the difference. Success isn't just about the big wins. It's about the small victories you achieve every single day by refusing to give up, by showing up and doing the work even when it feels like the world is against you. Think about where you are right now. Whatever you're going through, whatever challenges you're facing, they're not permanent. They don't define you. What defines you is your ability to keep going, to learn from your mistakes, and to rise above the hardships that come your way. It's easy to look at your current situation and feel like it's the end of the road, but trust me, it's not. This is just a chapter in your story, not the whole story. You are capable of more than you know, and each day you face these challenges, you are becoming stronger, wiser, and more prepared for what's ahead. So, if you're feeling lost, if you're feeling like the weight of the world is too much to bear, take a deep breath and remember this: you've made it through 100% of your hardest days so far. And you'll make it through this one too. Keep pushing, keep learning, and keep growing. The best is yet to come. And these challenges are just part of the journey. So embrace them, learn from them, and know that with every difficulty you face, you're one step closer to becoming the person you're meant to be. Number 20. Time spent learning is never wasted. There's something about life that keeps us constantly on our toes. It's like we're always in the middle of a story, trying to figure out what happens next. Sometimes it feels like we have everything figured out, and other times it feels like we're lost, trying to find our way through the fog. But the thing is, even when we're unsure or we feel like we're stumbling, we're still moving forward. Every step, even the uncertain ones, brings us closer to where we're supposed to be. And that's the beautiful, messy thing about life. We're constantly growing, even when we don't realize it. When we look back on our lives, we often see things differently. The struggles, the challenges, the moments where we felt like giving up, they all seem to fade into the background when we finally reach a place of peace or success. It's almost as if those tough times become stepping stones that helped us get to where we are. We tend to look at life in the rearview mirror and think, wow, that was hard, but I made it through, and that's the power of perspective. When we're in the thick of things, it's easy to forget that the pain is temporary. It feels overwhelming in the moment, but it doesn't last forever. There's no denying that the road can be tough. Life doesn't always hand us a perfect set of circumstances. Sometimes we deal with loss, disappointment, heartbreak, or failure, and it can feel like the weight of the world is on our shoulders. It's easy to let those feelings of frustration take over, to start doubting ourselves and wondering if we're even capable of handling the challenges that come our way. But I want you to know this: you are more capable than you think. Even in your weakest moments, there's a strength inside you that you might not even fully understand yet. And it's this strength that will carry you through, even when it feels like you're at your lowest. Think about the times when you've been faced with something difficult. It could be something small or something huge, but in those moments you were given a choice. You could have given up, let fear or self-doubt control you, but you didn't. You found a way to keep going. You found the courage to face whatever it was and push through, even if it wasn't easy. And that's where growth happens. It's not in the easy, comfortable times, it's in the struggle. When we face adversity, we learn more about who we are, and we discover the depth of our resilience. I think one of the hardest parts of going through tough times is the feeling of being alone. It's easy to get wrapped up in our own heads, to think that no one else understands what we're going through. We might feel isolated, like we're the only ones struggling, but the truth is, everyone has their own battles. No one is immune to hardship. Everyone faces challenges in different forms, and it's through those challenges that we connect with others. You might be surprised to learn how much strength there is in sharing your story, in letting others know that you're struggling and allowing them to help you through it. There's a shared humanity in our pain, and we often find the most comfort when we realize that we're not alone in this journey. In the midst of these challenges, it's also important to remember that you're not defined by your setbacks. Just because you've stumbled doesn't mean you've failed. It just means you're human. And every time you fall, you have the chance to rise again. It might take time. It might take more strength than you think you have. But you will rise. And when you do, you'll be stronger than before. The key is to never lose sight of your worth. No matter what happens, you're still worthy of love, success, and happiness. And even in your lowest moments, you still have something valuable to offer the world. When we look at the bigger picture, it's clear that the hard times, the difficult moments, are not the end of the story. They're just part of the process. They shape us, teach us, and help us grow. And when we get through them, we come out the other side with a new sense of strength, a new understanding of ourselves, and a deeper appreciation for the good things in life. So if you're going through something tough right now, I want to encourage you to hang in there. Know that you have the power to get through this, no matter how hard it seems. You're stronger than you think, and you've made it through tough times before. You can do it again. Take a moment to reflect on how far you've come. Think about the challenges you faced in the past and how you overcame them. You didn't do it alone. You found the strength, the courage, and the perseverance to push through even when it felt impossible. And you can do it again. You've got this. Every step you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to where you're meant to be. Keep going. The best is yet to come. And every challenge you face is simply part of your journey to greatness. Number 21, take risks. Life has this funny way of surprising us. Just when we think we have it all figured out, something shifts and we're faced with new challenges, new opportunities, and sometimes even completely unexpected turns. It's like we're always walking this tightrope, trying to balance the known and the unknown, the familiar and the unfamiliar. The truth is, no matter how prepared we think we are, there's always more to learn, and there's always room to grow. Every day is a new chance to discover something about ourselves, about the world, and about the people around us. There's a beauty in this unpredictability of life. Think about it, if we knew every single thing that was going to happen, wouldn't life feel a little dull? The excitement comes from the unknown, from taking risks and stepping into the unfamiliar. That's where the growth happens. It's in those moments of uncertainty when we have to dig deep, find our courage, and keep moving forward, even when we're not entirely sure where we're headed. And often it's in those moments of doubt and uncertainty that we learn the most about ourselves. The reality is, life doesn't always go according to plan. We might set out with a clear vision, a roadmap for where we want to go, and then things don't quite unfold the way we imagined. And that's okay. In fact, that's more than okay, it's part of the journey. The key isn't to be upset when things don't go our way. The key is to be resilient, to embrace the unexpected, and to keep going. After all, some of the most amazing things in life have happened by accident or by taking a leap of faith into the unknown. One thing that really stands out in these moments is how much we underestimate our own strength. We tend to think that we can't handle the challenges that come our way, but time and time again, we prove ourselves wrong. When life throws curveballs, we adjust, we adapt, and we grow. And each time we do, we gain more confidence in our ability to overcome whatever comes next. Sure, it's not always easy, but if you take a moment to look back, you'll see just how far you've come. You've handled challenges before, and you'll handle them again. It's also important to recognize that not everything is in our control. We can plan, we can prepare, we can do everything right, but sometimes things just don't go the way we expect. And that's where the beauty of surrendering comes in. Letting go of the need to control every outcome can be liberating. When we stop trying to force things to go a certain way and instead focus on responding to what's in front of us, we start to realize that we're more adaptable than we thought. We don't have to have everything figured out, and we don't have to know exactly what's going to happen next. Sometimes we just need to trust the process and trust ourselves. That's not to say it's always easy to trust. In fact, sometimes it's one of the hardest things to do. When we're faced with uncertainty, it's easy to want to take control, to grasp at anything that feels familiar, and to avoid the discomfort of not knowing. But it's in that discomfort that growth happens. It's in the moments when we feel most unsure that we often learn the most about ourselves, our strengths, and our potential. It's when we step out of our comfort zones that we find out what we're truly capable of. And let's not forget about the people around us. Life is about more than just ourselves. It's about the connections we make, the relationships we build, and the way we support each other. When we're in the midst of uncertainty, we often find that our communities, our friends, and our loved ones are there to offer guidance, encouragement, and even just a listening ear. We're not meant to go through life alone. Having people to lean on, to share our fears and hopes with, is one of the greatest gifts we can give and receive. It's also important to remember that not every day will feel like a victory. Some days will be tough, and some moments will feel overwhelming. But that's okay. It doesn't mean you're failing, it means you're human. It means you're living, and you're learning. And it means that even when things aren't perfect, you're still moving forward. It's easy to get discouraged when things don't go as planned, but the key is to keep going, even when it feels hard. Every step forward, no matter how small, is progress. At the end of the day, life is a journey, not a destination. It's not about reaching some final point of perfection or having everything fall into place in the way we envision. It's about the experiences we have along the way, the highs, the lows, the in-betweens. It's about the lessons we learn, the relationships we form, and the way we continue to grow, evolve, and adapt. The key is to embrace the journey, even when it's not what we expected. Because in the end, the most beautiful moments often come from the things we didn't see coming. So take a deep breath, trust the process, and keep moving forward. You're exactly where you need to be. Number 22, your attitude determines your altitude. Sometimes life feels like it's rushing by, like we're trying to catch up with something that's moving just a little too fast. It's funny how, when we're in the middle of things, we can feel like we're not getting anywhere at all. We get so caught up in the busy moments, the tasks, the endless to-do lists, that we forget to pause, breathe, and recognize how far we've actually come. It's easy to get overwhelmed by everything we need to do, but it's important to take a step back and appreciate the progress, even the little things. Because in reality, those little steps are what add up to the big moments in life. We all have dreams, goals, and aspirations. Some are big, some are small, but they all matter. And yet sometimes we forget that it's the small, everyday actions that move us closer to those dreams. It's easy to think that success comes in grand gestures or big milestones, but often it's the quiet moments, the ones where we push through, even when it feels hard, that shape our future. These small moments build up over time, creating a foundation that we can rely on when things get tough. Think about all the times you faced a challenge. It could be something personal, like navigating a tough decision, or something professional, like overcoming a difficult project at work. In those moments, we often don't realize how strong we really are. It's easy to get frustrated, to feel like things aren't moving as quickly as we want them to. But the truth is, every small effort, every little win is progress. It might not always feel like it, but if you take a moment to reflect, you'll see that you're actually moving forward. It's in those little steps that we build the resilience we need to face even bigger challenges in the future. What makes these moments so important is that they remind us that we don't need to have everything figured out. Life isn't a race. It's not about getting to some destination as fast as possible. It's about the journey and what we learn along the way. The most important thing is to keep going. Even when it feels like things aren't moving as quickly as we'd like, every step forward counts. It's not always about rushing to the finish line. Sometimes it's about making sure we're building a solid foundation for whatever comes next. Of course, there will always be moments when things don't go as planned. We all face setbacks, whether they're personal or professional. It's easy to feel like a failure in those moments, to get discouraged when things don't turn out the way we imagined. But here's the thing, failure isn't the end of the road. It's part of the process. It's through these moments that we learn the most about ourselves. We learn what works, what doesn't, and how to adapt. So rather than viewing setbacks as obstacles, we can start to see them as opportunities for growth. Every time something doesn't go according to plan, we gain valuable insights that help us move forward with more wisdom and confidence. And then there's the power of persistence. It's easy to want to quit when things get hard. It's tempting to throw in the towel and walk away, especially when the road ahead feels long or uncertain. But persistence is one of the most powerful tools we have. When we keep going, even when it feels difficult, we build momentum. We show ourselves that we're capable of more than we thought. And that sense of accomplishment, knowing that we kept going, even when things were tough, is something that can't be taken away. It's something that stays with us, motivating us to keep going no matter what challenges come our way. And let's not forget about the people we surround ourselves with. Life is so much easier when we have the right support system. Whether it's family, friends, or colleagues, having people who believe in us and cheer us on can make all the difference. Sometimes it's easy to feel like we're doing everything on our own, but the truth is, we don't have to. There's no shame in reaching out for help or leaning on others for support. It's okay to not have all the answers, and it's okay to need a little help along the way. That's part of being human. It's part of being in this together. The reality is, life doesn't always follow a clear path, and we don't always get to choose the challenges we face. But what we can choose is how we respond to those challenges. We can choose to keep going, to keep pushing forward, even when it feels like the world is against us. And every time we do, we build more strength, more resilience, and more confidence in ourselves. The road ahead might not always be easy, but if we keep moving forward, even when it feels tough, we'll find that we're capable of so much more than we ever imagined. So take a moment today to recognize how far you've come. Reflect on the small victories, the quiet moments of progress that add up over time. And remember, it's not about rushing to the finish line, it's about making steady, meaningful progress and learning from every step of the journey. You're doing great. Keep going and trust that the best is yet to come. Number 23. Don't expect instant results. It's incredible how life can sometimes feel like a series of disconnected moments, each one playing out on its own. You wake up, go about your day, face the challenges that come your way, and then do it all over again. But when you step back and really look at the bigger picture, it becomes clear that every day, every small action, is part of a much larger process. We often don't realize it, but every little thing we do is building the foundation for something bigger, something that's still unfolding. It's easy to get stuck in the hustle, to focus on the immediate tasks that demand your attention and overlook the long-term vision. But if we take a moment to step back and reflect on our journey, we can see that everything we've done, every challenge we've faced, has brought us closer to where we are now. Life is a series of steps, some bigger than others, but all of them are necessary to create the path we're on. And no matter how slow things seem, no matter how small the progress feels, it's all part of the bigger picture. We may not always recognize the progress in the moment, but when we look back, we realize just how far we've come. The truth is, we all face challenges in life. Whether it's in our personal lives, our work, or just the daily grind, there are always hurdles to overcome. But what makes these challenges so powerful is that they shape us. They push us to think in new ways, to adapt, to problem solve, and to grow. It's in these moments of struggle that we often discover our true strength. We find out what we're made of when the road gets tough. And those moments, as difficult as they might be in the moment, are the ones that shape us into the person we're becoming. What's interesting is that the road to success isn't always a straight line. In fact, it's often anything but straight. There are twists and turns, detours and bumps along the way. But that's what makes the journey so valuable. It's not about the destination, it's about how you grow, how you change, and what you learn along the way. If everything were easy, if everything went according to plan, we wouldn't appreciate the victories as much. It's the challenges, the hard times, and the setbacks that make the moments of success so rewarding. It's when we fought for something, when we've worked hard, and when we've been through the fire, that the sense of accomplishment truly sinks in. And there's something so powerful about persistence. It's easy to get discouraged when things aren't going the way we expect. Sometimes it feels like no matter how hard we try, nothing is working. But if we stick with it, if we keep pushing forward, even when it feels like we're not getting anywhere, something amazing happens. We build resilience, we build a belief in ourselves that no external setback can shake. Every time we keep going, despite the odds, we grow stronger, and we gain a sense of inner strength that lasts longer than any single victory could. Another thing that often holds us back is the fear of failure. We get so caught up in wanting to succeed, to get everything right the first time, that we're afraid to even try. But the truth is, failure isn't the enemy. It's a teacher. Failure is what shows us where we need to improve, where we need to adapt, and where we can do better. It's the feedback we need to get better at what we do. So instead of fearing failure, we should embrace it as part of the process. After all, every successful person has failed at some point. What sets them apart is that they didn't let those failures stop them. They kept going, learning and growing, and that's what led them to success. Then there's the importance of celebrating the small wins. Too often we get caught up in the big goals, the end results, and forget to recognize the small victories along the way. But it's these small wins that keep us going. Every step forward, no matter how small, is worth celebrating because it brings us closer to our goals. Whether it's crossing off a task from your to-do list or making progress on a long-term project, those small wins build momentum and boost our confidence. They remind us that we are making progress even when it feels slow. It's also important to remember that no one is doing this alone. Life is full of people who want to support us, whether it's friends, family, or colleagues. We don't have to face challenges on our own. In fact, sometimes the best thing we can do is lean on others for help, advice, or simply a listening ear. There's strength in asking for help, in allowing others to be part of your journey. The people around us can provide perspectives we might not have considered, and their support can help us keep moving forward, even when things get tough. When it all comes down to it, life is about finding the balance between pushing forward and being kind to ourselves. It's about understanding that growth takes time and that we are allowed to stumble along the way. There's no shame in taking things one step at a time. What matters is that we keep moving forward, that we keep learning, and that we keep showing up. Because every small effort, every little step forward, brings us closer to becoming the person we're meant to be. And when we look back, we'll realize that all of those moments, all of those small steps, were worth it. Number 24, you don't need approval. We often set big goals for ourselves, goals that seem so far out of reach, so intimidating that it can feel impossible to even take the first step. But what if we stopped focusing on the destination and instead started focusing on the journey? Sometimes the best way to achieve something is by breaking it down, taking things one step at a time, and allowing ourselves to enjoy the process. I think the first thing we often forget is that success doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't come to us just because we wish for it or because we've put in a bit of effort. It's a slow, gradual process that builds over time. But that's also the beauty of it. The struggle, the setbacks, the long hours, it all contributes to something bigger, something more meaningful. When we see things this way, it's easier to appreciate the little victories along the way. They're not just tiny steps, they're milestones on the path to something more significant. If we're honest, a lot of the time we're our own biggest obstacles. We get in our heads and we overthink things. We tell ourselves that we're not good enough, not talented enough, not experienced enough to achieve the things we dream about. But what if we started telling ourselves a different story? What if we stopped letting self-doubt dictate our actions and instead embraced the idea that we're more than capable of achieving what we set out to do? It's not always easy to make that shift in mindset, but it's necessary. The truth is, the only thing standing between where we are now and where we want to be is often just the way we think about it. One of the most powerful tools we have in life is our ability to change our mindset. We can choose to see the world through a lens of possibility, or we can choose to see it through a lens of limitation. The choice is ours. And when we choose to believe in our own potential, it's amazing what can happen. Doors that once seemed closed suddenly open up. Opportunities we never thought were possible begin to appear. And we start to realize that we've been holding ourselves back all along, simply because we didn't believe we could do it. Another thing we sometimes forget is the importance of surrounding ourselves with the right people. When we're working on something important to us, it's so easy to get caught up in our own heads. We start second-guessing ourselves and wondering if we're on the right path. But when we talk to others, people who believe in us, who support us, who challenge us, we get a different perspective. It helps us see things more clearly. And often those conversations can spark new ideas, open our eyes to opportunities we hadn't considered, or simply remind us that we're not alone in this journey. Success, of course, looks different for everyone. For some, it might mean building a career. For others, it's about making a difference in the world, or perhaps it's about building relationships and finding fulfillment in our personal lives. Whatever success means to you, the one thing that's certain is that it requires commitment. It requires consistency. It requires us to show up day in and day out, even when we're tired, even when we feel like giving up. And the key to staying consistent is to remember why we're doing it in the first place. If we can keep our why in mind, we can push through those tough moments because we know that every step forward, no matter how small, is getting us closer to our goal. It's also important to recognize that not every day is going to be perfect. There will be setbacks, failures, and days when things don't go according to plan. But that's okay. In fact, it's part of the process. No one achieves success without experiencing some form of failure along the way. What matters most is how we respond. Do we let it knock us down, or do we use it as a lesson and keep moving forward? The people who succeed are the ones who can get back up after a fall, dust themselves off, and keep going. There's also something to be said for being kind to ourselves. We live in a world that often places so much emphasis on achievement and perfection that it's easy to forget that we're human. We're not machines. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to have bad days. And that's okay. It's important to give ourselves permission to fail and to rest when we need to. Because if we don't, we'll burn out, and we won't be able to keep going at all. Success isn't just about pushing ourselves to the limit. It's also about knowing when to slow down, take a breath, and recharge. At the end of the day, the journey to success is a personal one. It's about understanding that there will be ups and downs, but each step, each twist and turn is part of the adventure. It's about finding joy in the small moments, learning from the setbacks and continuing to move forward, even when things get tough. Success isn't a destination, it's a journey. And if we can learn to enjoy the ride, we'll realize that every single moment, no matter how challenging, is worth it. Number 25. Perfection is a myth. Life is full of ups and downs, and sometimes it feels like the world is constantly testing our patience. We've all been there, those moments when it feels like we're stuck in a never-ending cycle of struggle. It's easy to get discouraged when things aren't going the way we want. And it's even easier to believe that we'll never get to where we want to be. But what if I told you that those tough moments aren't just obstacles, they're opportunities? Opportunities for growth, for learning, and for discovering just how strong we really are. When we face challenges, it's natural to feel overwhelmed. We often focus so much on the problem that we forget to step back and look at the bigger picture. It's like trying to navigate through a dense forest while focusing on just the next tree in front of us. We can't see the path forward because we're so fixated on what's right in front of us. But if we take a moment to breathe and step back, we can see things more clearly. The challenges we face may seem impossible in the moment, but with a little perspective, we begin to realize that we've overcome obstacles before, and we're capable of doing it again. One of the most important things to remember when facing tough times is that we don't have to do it alone. So often we get caught up in the idea that we need to have all the answers, that we need to be strong and capable at all times. But the truth is, we don't have to be perfect, and we don't have to have everything figured out. Sometimes it's okay to lean on others for support, whether it's friends, family, or colleagues. Opening up about our struggles can be incredibly liberating, and more often than not, we find that others have gone through similar challenges. They can offer advice, encouragement, or simply a listening ear, which can make all the difference. It's also worth mentioning that setbacks are a natural part of life. We tend to view them as failures, but that perspective can be limiting. Every setback is a chance to learn something new, whether it's about ourselves, the world around us, or the path we're on. When things don't go as planned, it can be frustrating, but it's essential to remind ourselves that it's not the end of the road. It's merely a detour, a chance to reassess, adapt, and try again. In fact, some of the most successful people in the world are the ones who have faced failure time and time again, only to rise stronger each time. When we're in the midst of a difficult situation, it's easy to get caught up in our emotions. It's natural to feel anxious, stressed, or even defeated. But if we can take a step back and give ourselves some space to process those emotions, we can gain clarity. Emotions are powerful, and while they're a natural response to the challenges we face, they don't have to dictate our actions. By practicing mindfulness and learning to control our reactions, we can approach problems with a clearer, more focused mindset. Instead of being driven by fear or frustration, we can make decisions based on logic and understanding. Something else we often forget when we're struggling is the importance of patience. In our fast-paced world, we've been conditioned to expect instant results. Whether it's through technology, social media, or even our careers, we've come to expect things to happen quickly. But real growth, the kind that leads to lasting success, takes time. It's a slow, gradual process that requires persistence. Every small step we take, even when it doesn't feel like we're making progress, is a step toward our goal. Patience is key. When we allow ourselves to be patient, we stop rushing toward an end result and start appreciating the journey. And in doing so, we learn to trust the process. It's also important to acknowledge the power of self-compassion. We're often our harshest critics, and when we make mistakes, it's easy to beat ourselves up. But the truth is, we're only human. We all make mistakes and we all fall short sometimes. The key is not to dwell on those mistakes, but to learn from them and move forward. By treating ourselves with kindness and understanding, we create an environment where we can grow, heal, and improve. At the end of the day, life is about how we respond to the challenges we face. It's not about avoiding hardship or finding shortcuts to success. It's about facing the tough moments head-on, learning from them, and using them as stepping stones toward something greater. Success isn't just measured by the destination, it's measured by the lessons we learn along the way, the resilience we build, and the strength we discover within ourselves. So the next time life throws a challenge your way, remember that it's not the end. It's an opportunity. An opportunity to grow, to learn, and to discover what you're truly capable of. And while it may not always be easy, you have everything within you to rise above and come out stronger on the other side. Number 26. Invest in relationships, not just work. Sometimes we get so caught up in the rush of life that we forget to take a step back and just breathe. We're constantly moving forward, chasing deadlines, checking things off our to-do lists, and trying to meet expectations. But in doing so, we often overlook the most important thing of all, ourselves. It's easy to get lost in the demands of work, family, and responsibilities, and we can start to feel like we're living on autopilot. We forget to pause, to reflect, and to check in with our own needs and desires. Yet, it's in those moments of pause that we can reconnect with ourselves and gain clarity about what truly matters. When life feels overwhelming, it's important to remember that we have the power to slow down. We don't have to constantly be in motion or always be on. It's okay to take a break. In fact, it's essential. The pressure we put on ourselves to always be productive can lead to burnout. And that's when things start to fall apart. We can become so focused on doing that we forget why we're doing it in the first place. Taking time for self-care and introspection can help us realign with our goals and remind us of the bigger picture. One of the most valuable things we can do for ourselves is to simply be present. It sounds simple, but it's something many of us struggle with. We're often thinking ahead to the next task or worrying about the future, and in doing so, we miss the moment we're in. The conversations, the small victories, the joy in the little things, these are the moments that make life worth living. By being present, we open ourselves up to the richness of each experience, and we allow ourselves to truly live rather than merely exist. When we focus on the present, we also allow ourselves to be more mindful of our emotions. Life is full of highs and lows, and we can often feel like we're riding an emotional roller coaster. But when we take a moment to tune into how we're feeling, we can gain better control over our emotional responses. We can recognize when we're feeling stressed or anxious and take steps to ground ourselves. Mindfulness techniques, such as deep breathing or simply taking a few quiet moments to ourselves, can help calm the mind and bring us back to the present moment. Another way to find balance in life is by setting boundaries. It's easy to say yes to everything, especially when we want to please others or avoid conflict. But saying yes to everything often means saying no to ourselves. Setting boundaries is about protecting your time, energy, and mental well-being. It's about knowing when to say no and when to prioritize your needs over the demands of others. It's not selfish, it's necessary. Boundaries allow us to preserve our energy and prevent burnout, giving us the space to do our best work and show up for the people who matter most. As we navigate through life, it's also important to acknowledge that things won't always go according to plan. We can't control everything, and there will be moments of frustration and disappointment. But instead of viewing these moments as setbacks, we can see them as opportunities for growth. Every challenge we face teaches us something valuable. Whether it's patience, resilience, or problem-solving skills, we gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. The key is to embrace these challenges rather than resist them, knowing that they're part of the journey. Gratitude is another powerful tool for creating balance in our lives. It's easy to focus on what's missing or what we don't have, but taking a moment each day to reflect on what we're thankful for can shift our perspective. Gratitude helps us see the positive even in the midst of difficulty. It reminds us of the good things in our lives, the people who love us, the opportunities we've been given, and the beauty in the world around us. When we cultivate a mindset of gratitude, we begin to attract more of the things we appreciate, and we start to feel more fulfilled and content. Of course, balance doesn't mean that every day will be perfect. Life will always have its challenges, and there will be times when things don't go as planned. But with the right mindset, we can learn to navigate those challenges with grace. We can take life one step at a time, knowing that even when things feel out of control, we have the strength to get through them. Balance is about accepting that life is a mix of highs and lows, and it's how we respond to those moments that determines our overall well-being. In the end, the key to creating balance in life is realizing that it's not something we achieve once and for all. It's an ongoing process of checking in with ourselves, adjusting when necessary, and prioritizing what truly matters. Life is dynamic, and so are we. As we grow and change, our needs and priorities shift, and that's okay. The goal is not to have everything figured out, but to live with intention and awareness, making choices that align with our values and help us maintain our well-being. So the next time life feels overwhelming, take a step back, breathe, and remember that you have the power to create the balance you need to thrive. Number 27, never stop growing. Life can feel like a whirlwind sometimes, don't you think? You wake up, you tackle your responsibilities, and before you know it, the day is over. Then it's time to do it all over again. In the rush of it all, it can be easy to forget what's truly important and what we're working toward. The demands on our time, whether from work, family, or our own expectations, can leave us feeling drained and disconnected from what really matters to us. But every now and then, it's crucial to pause, take a deep breath, and refocus. Life isn't just about checking off tasks. It's about finding purpose in those moments, embracing the journey, and recognizing that each day brings with it an opportunity to live more intentionally. It's easy to get lost in the endless to-do lists and the expectations placed on us by others and even ourselves. At some point, you might find yourself thinking, is this really what I want? Or is this how I imagine my life would look? That's okay, those questions are normal. They can serve as a wake-up call, a nudge that reminds us to stop and check in with ourselves. It's not uncommon to feel overwhelmed by the weight of expectations or unsure about which direction we should take next. But in those moments, it's important to remember that we're in control of our own lives. No matter how hectic things get, we have the power to choose our path, to adjust our course when necessary, and to prioritize what aligns with our true values. Taking a step back to reflect can be a game changer. It might sound simple, but just giving yourself the space to pause and reflect on where you are and where you're headed can bring so much clarity. The constant noise of life can drown out our inner voice, making it hard to hear what we truly want. When we're constantly in motion, we don't always have the time to check in with ourselves about our goals, dreams, or what brings us fulfillment. That's why it's so important to create those moments of stillness where we can reconnect with what we value most. Whether it's through journaling, meditation, or just sitting quietly for a few minutes. These moments of introspection can provide the insights needed to realign our actions with our deepest desires. While reflection is a powerful tool, it's also important to act on what we learn from those moments. It's one thing to identify what's missing or what needs to change in our lives, But it's another thing entirely to take the steps needed to make those changes happen. It's easy to get stuck in the cycle of overthinking and second-guessing ourselves, but taking small, intentional steps toward our goals can have a huge impact. Start by identifying one area of your life that feels out of balance and commit to making small adjustments. It might be as simple as setting aside more time for self-care, rethinking your work-life balance, or addressing relationships that no longer serve you. The key is to take action, no matter how small, and allow yourself to feel the satisfaction of progress. Embracing change can also be incredibly liberating. We often resist change because it feels uncomfortable or unknown. But growth only happens when we step outside of our comfort zones. The fear of the unknown can hold us back from pursuing what we really want. But in reality, it's those very uncertainties that hold the potential for the most rewarding experiences. When you embrace change, you open yourself up to new opportunities, new perspectives, and new ways of being. Change is not something to fear, but something to embrace with open arms. Of course, none of this is to say that life won't be challenging at times. We all face obstacles, whether they're personal, professional, or emotional. But the way we respond to those challenges makes all the difference. It's easy to fall into a victim mindset, to feel like things are happening to us, but it's much more empowering to approach life with the mindset of a creator. When you take responsibility for your life and your choices, you regain control. Even in difficult situations, you can choose how to respond. It's not about avoiding hardship, but about learning how to navigate it with resilience and a positive outlook. As you move forward, it's important to remember that no one's journey is exactly the same. There's no one-size-fits-all roadmap for success or happiness. What works for someone else might not be right for you, and that's okay. The key is to find your own path, one that feels true to who you are. It's about building a life that's aligned with your values and passions, even if it looks different from what others expect. Don't compare your journey to anyone else's. You are uniquely you, and your journey is yours to define. Along the way, it's helpful to surround yourself with people who support and encourage you. Having a strong support system can make all the difference when things get tough. Whether it's friends, family, mentors, or colleagues, these relationships are the ones that can help lift you up when you're feeling down and celebrate your successes when you reach milestones. In the end, life isn't just about individual achievements, it's about the connections we make, the people we impact, and the love we share. The journey may not always be easy, but it's always worth it. As you continue on your path, remember to take moments to appreciate how far you've come. Every step, no matter how small, brings you closer to the life you've always wanted. And the best part, you have the power to keep shaping that life every single day. Number 28, your past doesn't define you. Sometimes life can feel like a constant push and pull. You find yourself juggling multiple responsibilities, trying to meet others' expectations and staying on top of everything that life demands. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle and forget to check in with yourself. We get so wrapped up in the everyday tasks and challenges that we sometimes lose sight of the bigger picture. But if you take a moment to step back and breathe, you'll realize something important. It's okay to pause. It's okay to not have everything figured out. Life is a journey, and it's not about rushing from one thing to the next. It's about taking the time to reflect, learn, and grow at your own pace. In the rush to meet deadlines or take care of others, we often overlook our own needs. It's not that we don't care about ourselves, it's just that we're so focused on the external world that we forget to turn inward. The truth is, when we neglect our own well-being, we end up depleted. We're giving so much of ourselves that there's nothing left in the tank. That's why it's so important to set aside time for self-care, even if it feels like there's no time for it. Taking care of your mental, physical, and emotional health isn't selfish, it's essential. If you're not taking care of yourself, how can you show up fully for the people and tasks that matter most to you? It's easy to get caught up in a cycle of busyness and forget that life is not a race. Everyone is on their own unique path. And while we might compare ourselves to others, doing so only distracts us from our own journey. The more we focus on other people's progress, the more we lose sight of our own growth. Success doesn't look the same for everyone. Your version of success might not align with what society or other people say it should be, and that's perfectly fine. It's about finding what brings you joy, fulfillment, and peace. So instead of measuring your life against someone else's, take the time to ask yourself what truly matters to you. What do you want to achieve? What brings you happiness? What are your passions? The beauty of life is that we have the power to choose how we show up each day. We can choose to move forward with intention, even when the world around us feels chaotic. In those moments of uncertainty or stress, it's helpful to remember that we're not stuck. We might feel overwhelmed, but we always have the ability to take the next step, even if it's a small one. Small steps add up, and over time they can lead to significant changes. The key is not to get discouraged by the bigger picture or the challenges ahead. Instead, focus on what you can control right now. This is where the power of mindfulness comes into play. By focusing on the present moment, we allow ourselves to let go of the worries about the past or the anxieties about the future. It's all too easy to get lost in the what ifs and the could be, yes, but real growth happens when we stay rooted in the here and now. Practicing mindfulness can take many forms, whether it's through meditation, breathing exercises, or simply taking a moment to ground yourself before diving into the next task. The point is to connect with the present moment, to acknowledge it, and to move forward with clarity. Another important aspect of living intentionally is the act of letting go. So often we hold on to things, whether it's past mistakes, unhealthy relationships, or limiting beliefs that no longer serve us. But holding on to these things only weighs us down. The more we hold on to the past, the less room we have to grow and move forward. Letting go is not about forgetting, but about choosing not to let the past dictate our present or future. It's about freeing ourselves from the emotional baggage that holds us back and embracing the freedom that comes with releasing those old stories. Once you let go, you create space for new opportunities, new perspectives, and new experiences. Another thing to keep in mind is that challenges are a natural part of life. Life is not meant to be smooth sailing all the time. In fact, it's often the tough times that teach us the most. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to learn, to adapt, and to grow stronger. It's easy to get discouraged when things aren't going the way you'd hoped, but instead of seeing those moments as failures, try viewing them as stepping stones. It's through these experiences that we discover what we're truly capable of. And remember, no one has it all figured out. Everyone is navigating life in their own way. Don't be too hard on yourself if you stumble along the way. As you continue to grow and evolve, it's important to remember that you don't have to do it alone. Surrounding yourself with people who uplift and support you can make all the difference. Having a strong support system, whether it's friends, family, or mentors, provides a sense of community and reassurance when things get tough. It's not about doing everything on your own. It's about knowing when to lean on others for guidance, encouragement, or just a listening ear. Relationships are an essential part of our well-being. They remind us that we're not alone on this journey, and they offer us the strength to keep going when we feel like giving up. In the end, life is a collection of moments. It's not about getting everything perfect or having everything figured out. It's about showing up each day, doing your best, and trusting that you're on the right path. Every decision, every action, and every step is part of the bigger picture, even if you can't always see it clearly in the moment. So take a deep breath, appreciate where you are right now, and trust that the journey is unfolding exactly as it's meant to. You've got this. Number 29. Life is short, make it count. At some point, you may have experienced a sense of uncertainty, like you're stuck in a place where things aren't moving forward the way you expected. Maybe your career isn't where you thought it would be, or you're feeling like the opportunities you've been working toward aren't materializing as quickly as you'd like. It's natural to feel frustrated when things don't go according to plan, but it's also essential to take a step back and remember that progress doesn't always look the way we imagine. Life has a funny way of teaching us that the path to success isn't always straight. It's full of twists and turns, bumps along the way, and moments of doubt. But it's those very moments that often lead to the most growth. When things aren't moving at the pace you expect, it's easy to start doubting yourself or wondering if you're on the wrong track. We tend to compare our journey with others' journeys, which can make us feel like we're falling behind. But the truth is, no two paths are the same. Everyone faces unique challenges, and everyone moves forward in their own time. The journey you're on is yours alone. There's no need to rush or to measure your success based on someone else's timeline. What's more important is staying focused on your own progress and finding satisfaction in the small wins along the way. One thing that can often help in these moments of frustration is recognizing how far you've already come. It's so easy to overlook our own achievements, especially when we're focused on the next goal or the next hurdle. But if you take a moment to reflect, you'll realize that you've made more progress than you may give yourself credit for. Maybe it's been difficult, but you've learned valuable lessons along the way. Each challenge you've faced has taught you something important, and every step forward, no matter how small, is part of your success story. Sometimes we get so focused on what's not happening that we miss the progress already unfolding right in front of us. Success isn't always about hitting huge milestones. Sometimes it's about the quieter, smaller moments that build over time. Maybe it's making connections with people who are aligned with your vision or gaining new skills that will help you in the future. Maybe it's simply the fact that you're still moving forward, even when it feels tough. Those things matter just as much as the bigger wins. They're all part of your journey. When you're in a place of uncertainty, it can be helpful to pause and reassess what you really want. Sometimes we get so focused on what we think we should be doing or what we've been told success looks like that we forget to check in with ourselves. What does success actually mean to you? What do you want to achieve? It's easy to get caught up in the expectations of others, but ultimately it's your life, and you should define success on your own terms. Spend some time reflecting on your values, passions, and the goals that really excite you. These are the things that will keep you motivated, even when the road ahead feels unclear. Another key to overcoming moments of doubt is to embrace flexibility. Things don't always go according to plan, and that's okay. In fact, being able to adapt to changing circumstances is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. When the road ahead seems blocked, it's often a signal that it's time to find a new path or to reassess your approach. Sometimes success comes not from pushing harder, but from being open to different possibilities and adjusting your direction when needed. Don't be afraid to pivot if something isn't working. You might discover opportunities that you hadn't considered before. This is also a great time to lean into your support system. There's a lot of power in having people around you who believe in your vision and can help lift you up when things get tough. Sometimes just talking things through with someone who understands can provide a fresh perspective and help you feel less alone in your struggles. Whether it's friends, family, or mentors, having people who can offer guidance, support, or even just a listening ear can make all the difference. It's easy to feel isolated when you're facing challenges, but remember that you don't have to go through it alone. While it's important to remain determined and continue working toward your goals, it's also crucial to recognize when it's time to rest and recharge. We often think that pushing through exhaustion is a sign of commitment or determination, but in reality, burnout can hinder progress more than it helps. Taking time to rest isn't a sign of weakness, it's an essential part of maintaining long-term success. It's okay to take breaks, to step away from the grind for a moment, and to give yourself permission to recharge. When you're well rested, you'll have more energy and clarity to approach the challenges ahead with a fresh perspective. Sometimes the best thing you can do is just keep going. Even when you don't see immediate results, continuing to put in the work will eventually pay off. Trust that the effort you're putting in now is laying the groundwork for future success. It's easy to get discouraged when you don't see quick results. But the reality is that lasting success often takes time to build. Every step you take, no matter how small, is moving you closer to where you want to be. At the end of the day, remember that the journey isn't always easy, but it's yours. You're not alone. And every struggle you face is an opportunity for growth. Keep pushing forward, stay true to your vision, and trust that, with time, the pieces will fall into place. Stay patient with yourself, and most importantly, trust the process. Success is not a destination, but a journey, and you're on the right path. Number 30, you will face criticism. Life often doesn't go as planned, and the journey we expect for ourselves can take unexpected turns. Maybe you faced a setback in your career or personal life, or perhaps you felt stuck, unsure of how to move forward. But it's in these moments that we have the opportunity to discover new paths, to reshape our perspective, and to push ourselves in ways we never imagined. The beauty of life is that no matter where we find ourselves, we always have the chance to reinvent our story, to take the lessons from past experiences and build something better from them. The feeling of being stuck is not only frustrating, but it can also make us question our choices. It's easy to feel like we've reached a dead end, like the doors to our dreams are closing and we've run out of options. But what if, instead of seeing these obstacles as signs that we've failed, we begin to see them as moments of growth, opportunities to adapt and change our approach? The truth is, life rarely goes in a straight line. It's full of bumps, detours, and sometimes it feels like we're going backward instead of forward. But it's during these times of challenge that we often find the most significant transformations. One thing that's important to remember is that success isn't a one-size-fits-all concept. We tend to compare ourselves to others and measure our progress based on where they are, forgetting that each person has their own unique path. What may look like success for someone else may not be the same for you. And that's perfectly okay. It's crucial to define success on your own terms. Ask yourself, what makes me feel fulfilled? What do I want to accomplish for myself? Not because it's what society expects, but because it aligns with my values. By creating your own definition of success, you free yourself from the pressure to keep up with others. Instead, you can focus on building your life in a way that feels right for you. There's also something powerful about recognizing the small victories. When we're in the thick of a tough situation, it's easy to lose sight of everything we've accomplished. We often think that success is only marked by big milestones, the promotion, the award, the major breakthrough. But progress is often hidden in the smaller, less obvious moments. Perhaps it's the fact that you got out of bed on a difficult day, or that you made a choice to try something new despite feeling uncertain. Each of these moments adds up and contributes to the bigger picture. Life isn't just about the destination, it's about the journey and all the steps along the way. When things aren't going the way we hoped, it's important to pause and give ourselves grace. We tend to be our own worst critics, constantly measuring our worth based on what we've achieved. But sometimes we forget to honor how far we've already come. It's easy to focus on what's missing or what hasn't happened yet. But when you take a moment to look back, you'll often realize that you've already overcome so much. You're not the same person you were a year ago, or even a few months ago. Every challenge, every setback, and every small step forward has shaped you into who you are today. And that growth, no matter how gradual, is something worth celebrating. One of the keys to moving forward when you're feeling stuck is to embrace change. It's a tough pill to swallow, especially when we've invested so much time and energy into a particular direction. But sometimes, in order to create the life we truly want, we have to let go of the things that no longer serve us. This could mean letting go of a job, a relationship, or even old beliefs that are holding us back. Change can feel scary, but it's also an opportunity for something new and better. The unknown is where growth happens. It's where we discover strengths we didn't know we had and develop resilience that carries us through tough times. So while it might be uncomfortable at first, embracing change is often the key to unlocking new opportunities and stepping into a brighter future. Another important aspect of moving forward is understanding that progress doesn't always happen overnight. Patience is key. We live in a world that's obsessed with instant gratification, where we want results right away. But the most meaningful accomplishments often take time to build. Whether it's working on your career, improving your health, or building meaningful relationships, lasting change requires consistent effort. There will be times when it feels like you're not making any progress, but that's when it's essential to trust the process and keep going. Trust that the work you're doing today, even if it feels small, is laying the foundation for something greater in the future. Sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is take a step back and allow yourself time to rest and recharge. We're often so focused on doing more and pushing ourselves to achieve that we forget to listen to our bodies and minds. Burnout is real, and it can quickly derail our progress if we're not careful. Rest isn't a sign of weakness, it's an essential part of sustaining long-term success. When we take time to recharge, we come back with renewed energy, clarity, and focus, which helps us approach challenges with a fresh perspective. So don't be afraid to take a break when needed. Giving yourself permission to rest can be one of the most productive things you can do. Ultimately, progress is about persistence and resilience. It's about showing up every day, even when things don't seem to be moving in the right direction. It's about having the courage to try again, to adapt when things don't go as planned, and to trust that you are exactly where you need to be in this moment. Life is not about perfection, it's about learning, growing, and evolving. So keep going, stay true to your vision, and remember that the road may not always be smooth, but it's leading you exactly where you need to be. Number 31, practice gratitude every day. Practicing gratitude every day is something that can truly transform your life in ways you might not expect. It might sound simple, but taking a moment to reflect on the things you're thankful for can have a profound impact on your overall well-being and mindset. You don't need to wait for a special occasion or a big milestone to feel grateful. By incorporating gratitude into your daily routine, you can start noticing how it shifts your perspective and affects your interactions with others. It's not just about saying thank you when someone holds the door open for you, but about cultivating a deeper sense of appreciation for the small, everyday moments. The beauty of practicing gratitude daily is that it doesn't require anything extravagant. It can be as simple as appreciating your morning coffee, the sunshine peeking through your window, or the comfort of your home. Many people believe that in order to feel grateful, they need to experience something big or extraordinary. But in reality, gratitude often thrives in the mundane, in the things we might take for granted if we're not paying attention. When you take a moment to reflect on those little things, you start to see how much goodness is already present in your life. You begin to understand that happiness doesn't always need to come from external sources or major achievements. It can be found in the everyday, in the quiet moments of contentment. One of the most powerful aspects of gratitude is how it helps shift your mindset. It's easy to get caught up in the stress and challenges of life, focusing on what's going wrong or what's lacking. But when you intentionally focus on the things you're grateful for, it can help you break free from that negative thought cycle. Instead of focusing on what's missing, you begin to see what's already there, what you have, who you are, and what you've accomplished. This shift in focus can reduce feelings of anxiety, depression, and dissatisfaction. It allows you to see your life from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. Over time, as you practice gratitude daily, it becomes easier to find silver linings, even in difficult situations. It's also amazing how gratitude influences your relationships. When you actively practice gratitude, you start to become more aware of the people around you, their kindness, their support, and their presence in your life. Rather than taking others for granted, you begin to notice how their actions contribute to your happiness. Expressing gratitude toward others not only strengthens those relationships, but also creates a positive environment where people feel valued and appreciated. Think about how good it feels when someone acknowledges something you've done for them, even if it's something small. That feeling can be multiplied when you make it a habit to express gratitude toward the people in your life, whether it's a friend, family member, colleague, or even a stranger. Another aspect of practicing daily gratitude is how it helps improve your resilience. Life is full of ups and downs, and it's easy to become discouraged when faced with obstacles. But when you regularly reflect on what you're thankful for, you build a mental habit of focusing on the positive, even in tough times. It doesn't mean ignoring challenges or pretending everything is perfect, but rather choosing to focus on what's still good in your life, despite the difficulties. This perspective can help you stay grounded and optimistic, giving you the strength to face challenges with a sense of calm and confidence. It's like building a mental toolkit of positivity that you can turn to when things get tough. If you're wondering how to start practicing gratitude every day, the key is consistency. It doesn't have to take a lot of time, and it doesn't require any special tools or techniques. Some people keep a gratitude journal where they write down 3 things they're thankful for each day. Others simply take a moment in the morning or before bed to mentally note what they're grateful for. It could be something as simple as the opportunity to start a new day, the support of loved ones, or even the health and well-being you enjoy. There are no rules for how gratitude should look. What matters is that you make it a regular part of your routine. In addition to the mental and emotional benefits, practicing gratitude can also have physical effects. Studies have shown that people who practice gratitude regularly tend to experience lower levels of stress and are less likely to suffer from illnesses related to stress, like high blood pressure or sleep disorders. When you focus on the positive aspects of your life, it can reduce the harmful effects of stress on your body and mind. Gratitude also encourages you to take care of yourself and others, creating a ripple effect that spreads across all aspects of your life. As you continue on this gratitude journey, you might start to notice that it becomes easier to find things to be thankful for. At first, it might feel like a conscious effort to look for things to appreciate, but over time, it becomes more natural. You begin to cultivate an attitude of gratitude that carries over into every area of your life. It's like training your brain to scan for the good rather than the bad. And before you know it, gratitude becomes an automatic response to life's experiences, big and small. In conclusion, practicing gratitude every day is a simple but powerful habit that can lead to a more fulfilling and joyful life. By taking a moment each day to appreciate what you have, who you're surrounded by, and the beauty in the small things, you can shift your mindset, strengthen your relationships, and improve your resilience. It's a habit that doesn't require special skills or a lot of time, but it has the potential to create lasting change in your life. So why not give it a try? Start small, and you may be surprised at how much richer and more meaningful your life feels when you make gratitude a daily practice. Number 32. Your dreams are valid. You know, one of the most powerful things you can believe in is that your dreams are valid. So many people go through life questioning whether their goals are worthy, or they get caught up in comparing themselves to others and thinking, maybe I'm just not meant for this. But here's the truth: your dreams are not only valid, but they are also important, and they matter. They matter because they come from you. And you're the only person who has that unique combination of talents, ideas, and drive. The world doesn't need more copies of what already exists. What it needs is what only you can offer. I want you to really think about this for a moment. What are the dreams you've been putting on the back burner? Maybe they feel too big, too far out of reach, or maybe you're worried about what people might think. But your dreams don't need anyone's approval except your own. Too often, we let other people's opinions dictate what we believe is possible for ourselves. We let fear hold us back from chasing something that could change everything for us. But here's the thing: those dreams are not just ideas, they're possibilities waiting to happen. When I say your dreams are valid, I'm not talking about the fleeting thoughts or random ideas that cross your mind every once in a while. I'm talking about the deep, gut-feeling kind of dreams, the ones that keep you awake at night, the ones that make your heart race with excitement. Those dreams are a reflection of your potential, and they're there for a reason. They're not just wishful thinking, they're a glimpse into what could be if you dared to pursue them. So many people go through life playing it safe, thinking that their dreams are too big or too unrealistic. But let me tell you, that's a lie. There is no such thing as a dream too big. Every great accomplishment in history started as a dream in someone's mind. Think about it. The airplane, the internet, the phone you're holding in your hand right now, they all started as wild ideas, as dreams that someone believed were possible. And you know what? You have the same power within you. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that your dreams are just fantasies, or that they aren't realistic enough. But if you want something bad enough, if you believe in it enough, then it's real. And here's another truth: when you begin to believe in your dreams, others will believe in them too. The world is full of people who are waiting to see someone else take that first step toward greatness. When you commit to your dreams, you send a message to the universe that you're ready to make it happen, and doors will start opening that you never thought possible. Now, this isn't to say that achieving your dreams will be easy. Far from it. There will be challenges, obstacles, and setbacks along the way. But that's part of the journey. It's in those tough moments that you prove to yourself just how much your dreams really mean to you. And you're going to be faced with plenty of reasons to quit. You'll face doubts, rejection, and failures. But those are just part of the process. They don't define you. What defines you is how you respond. What defines you is your determination to keep going when it gets tough, to keep moving toward your dreams, even when it feels like everything is working against you. So don't waste time questioning whether your dreams are worthy. They are. And they're worthy of your time, your energy, and your commitment. Don't let the fear of failure or the opinions of others hold you back from pursuing what you truly want. The world is waiting for you to step up and bring your dreams to life. The only question is, are you ready to believe in them as much as they believe in you? Believe in your dreams. They are valid. They are possible. And they are waiting for you to take the first step toward making them a reality. Don't let anything or anyone tell you otherwise. The life you want is out there, and it all starts with the belief that your dreams are worth fighting for. So go out there and make them happen. You've got this. Number 33. Success is a mindset, not a destination. Success is not a destination. It's a mindset. And I want you to really take that in. When we think about success, we often imagine it as something we arrive at after putting in the work, a finish line we cross after years of effort. But the truth is, success is not a place. It's not a trophy you win, and it's certainly not something that comes to you one day like a reward. Success is all about how you think, how you approach the world, and how you choose to live every single day. It's a way of seeing things, a lens through which you choose to view life. And that's where everything starts. Now, let's be clear. This doesn't mean that success isn't hard work or that you can just sit back and let things happen. What I'm saying is that success starts in the mind. It's a way of thinking, a set of beliefs that shape everything you do. You can have all the skills, the connections, and the opportunities in the world, but if you don't have the right mindset, all of those things won't matter. Your mindset is what will determine how far you go, how resilient you are when things get tough, and how committed you are when the journey feels impossible. So what does it mean to have a success mindset? It means believing in yourself and in your ability to overcome challenges. It means staying focused on your goals, even when obstacles arise. A success mindset helps you see every setback as a lesson, not a failure. It's about seeing opportunities where others see problems. It's about staying positive even when life tries to knock you down. It's the belief that no matter how difficult things get, you can find a way to keep going. You see, success is not a linear path. It's not something you achieve once and then move on from. It's something you create every single day. It's the small decisions you make. It's the attitude you carry with you. It's your willingness to keep moving forward, even when things don't go the way you planned. And that's where most people miss the point. They think success is a place where they'll eventually arrive and everything will be perfect. But success is not about perfection, it's about persistence. It's about pushing through the tough times and continuing to work towards your goals, even when it feels like you're not getting anywhere. Think about it. If you have a mindset that says, I can do this, I will keep going, I will keep improving, then you'll always be on the path to success, no matter where you are in life. And no matter what you're doing, whether it's building a business, climbing the corporate ladder, or chasing a personal goal, if you approach it with the mindset of someone who is already successful, you'll begin to see results. Because your mindset is like the foundation for everything you do. It will influence how you act, how you deal with setbacks, and how you bounce back from challenges. I want you to understand something important about success. It's not just about reaching the top, because there is no top. There's always more to learn, more to achieve, and more to experience. The more you grow, the more you realize that success isn't just a final destination, it's an ongoing process. It's about continuously improving, learning, and evolving. You're never truly done. You're always moving forward, always striving for something better, and always growing as a person. So when you start viewing success as a mindset rather than a destination, it changes everything. You no longer see obstacles as reasons to give up, but as stepping stones on your path. You start to see challenges as opportunities to grow stronger and wiser. You stop focusing on what you don't have or what you haven't accomplished yet, and instead focus on the small wins, the progress you've made, and the mindset that's driving you toward your next level. If you can make that shift from viewing success as a goal to seeing it as a daily way of thinking, everything will change for you. Your approach to work, your relationships, and your life in general will shift. You'll stop feeling stuck or frustrated, and instead you'll feel energized and motivated, knowing that you're already on the path to success simply by having the right mindset. Success isn't something you chase. It's something you create every day by the way you think, the way you act, and the way you persevere. So stop looking for success as if it's somewhere out there. It's right here within you. You have the ability to shape it, mold it, and make it your reality. Success is not a destination, it's a mindset. And when you adopt that mindset, you'll realize that you've been successful all along. Number 34, you must learn to manage your emotions. Managing your emotions is one of the most powerful skills you can develop in life. It's easy to get caught up in the chaos of daily life, to let stress, frustration, or even excitement take control of your actions. But the truth is, how we manage our emotions can determine the course of our lives. Whether it's dealing with conflict, handling pressure, or making decisions, our emotions play a massive role in shaping our experiences and the outcomes we get. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you made decisions you later regretted because you acted out of anger or fear? Or maybe you've had moments where you were too afraid to take action because you doubted yourself. Managing your emotions doesn't mean suppressing them or pretending they don't exist. It means being in control of how you respond to them. It's about acknowledging what you're feeling without letting those emotions dictate your behavior or your future. If you want to be successful, you have to learn how to control your emotional responses. Because let's face it, life will throw a lot of challenges at you. Things won't always go your way. People won't always treat you how you expect. And there will be plenty of opportunities for frustration. But if you let your emotions take over, you can make decisions that steer you off course, that hurt relationships, or that hold you back from achieving your goals. Let me give you an example. Have you ever been in a situation where someone said something that upset you, and in the heat of the moment, you responded with something you later regretted? Or maybe you've been under pressure and made a snap decision that you wish you could take back. This is where emotional management comes in. It's about recognizing the emotion, acknowledging it, and then deciding how to act in a way that aligns with your values and long-term goals. Instead of reacting impulsively, you take a moment, breathe, and think about the best course of action. One of the first steps in managing your emotions is recognizing them as they arise. A lot of the time, we're not even aware of how we're feeling. We go about our day and suddenly we snap at someone or make an impulsive decision, only to realize later that we were frustrated or anxious. But the moment you start to pay attention to your emotions, to check in with yourself and ask, how am I feeling right now? You take the first step toward gaining control. This kind of self-awareness is crucial because it allows you to make better choices and respond in a way that serves you rather than reacting out of impulse. Another important part of managing your emotions is not allowing them to define who you are. Emotions are temporary, and they don't have to control your actions. Just because you're feeling angry or upset doesn't mean you have to lash out or make rash decisions. You can choose to sit with those emotions, understand them, and let them pass without acting on them in ways that might harm you or others. This is where emotional resilience comes into play. You don't have to be perfect, but every time you make the conscious choice to manage your emotions instead of being controlled by them, you grow stronger. It's also essential to remember that emotional management doesn't mean you have to be stoic or never show your feelings. It's about balance. It's about being authentic with your emotions while also maintaining the ability to respond thoughtfully and responsibly. When you manage your emotions well, you don't suppress them, you express them in a way that is constructive and healthy. If you can learn to manage your emotions, you'll be able to handle setbacks with grace. Life will throw curveballs and things won't always go according to plan. But when you don't let your emotions drive your decisions, you can move through challenges without getting stuck in them. You'll bounce back faster, keep your focus, and continue making progress. The ability to stay calm, think clearly, and act intentionally, even in stressful situations, is what separates those who succeed from those who struggle. Managing your emotions is a lifelong process, but it's something you can start today. Every time you face a difficult situation, you have the opportunity to practice. Every time you feel frustration building up or anxiety creeping in, you have the chance to pause and decide how you want to respond. Over time, this becomes a habit, and it will serve you in every aspect of your life, whether it's in your personal relationships, your career, or the pursuit of your goals. Number 35, stay humble. Humility is one of those qualities that is often overlooked in today's fast-paced, achievement-driven world. We live in a society that places a high value on being loud, being seen, and showing off success. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that in order to succeed, we need to be the biggest, the boldest, the most impressive person in the room. But I want to tell you something important. Staying humble is one of the most powerful tools you can have in your life, and it can actually take you further than all the noise and ego. When I say stay humble, I don't mean that you should shrink back or pretend that you aren't capable. What I'm talking about is keeping your feet on the ground, understanding that no matter how successful you get, there's always more to learn, more to do, and more to give. Humility isn't about downplaying your achievements. It's about recognizing that success doesn't come in isolation. It comes from the people around you, from the lessons you've learned, and from the opportunities you've been given. Being humble allows you to keep an open mind, to learn from your mistakes, and to grow in ways you wouldn't if you thought you had all the answers. A humble person doesn't walk around with their head in the clouds or act as if they're better than others. They don't need to be the loudest voice in the room or the first one to claim credit for success. Instead, humility is about giving others credit where it's due, acknowledging that success is rarely the result of one person's efforts alone. It's about staying grounded no matter how high you rise and appreciating the journey that's gotten you to where you are. Now, I know it's tempting to get caught up in self-promotion. In today's world, it feels like everyone is out there trying to make themselves look bigger and better than everyone else. Social media is a prime example. We see people constantly posting their achievements, making sure everyone knows how great they're doing. But here's the thing. The louder you are about your success, the more you risk losing sight of what truly matters. When you're always focused on being the center of attention, you miss out on the deeper connections and the lessons that come from being humble. When you stay humble, you open yourself up to other people's ideas and perspectives. You create an environment where learning is a two-way street. You allow others to contribute to your success, and you encourage them to shine as well. And let me tell you, when you do that, you end up building relationships that are based on mutual respect, trust, and collaboration. You attract people who want to work with you, not because you're flashy, but because you're genuine, thoughtful, and grounded. Humility also helps you handle setbacks and criticism more gracefully. We all face challenges and moments of failure. When you're humble, you're less likely to take things personally or let your ego get in the way. You can accept criticism, learn from it, and move forward without letting it define you. On the other hand, when you're driven by ego, every failure feels like a personal attack. Humility gives you the space to grow, to take feedback in stride, and to become better because of it. Let's talk about relationships for a second. In every area of life, whether in business, friendships, or family, humility is essential. People gravitate toward those who are humble because it makes them feel valued and heard. When you approach relationships with humility, you're able to truly connect with others. You're not focused on proving your worth, you're focused on understanding, supporting, and lifting others up. And in turn, you'll find that people are more willing to support you when you need it. Humility builds bridges while arrogance burns them down. I know it can be hard to stay humble, especially when you've worked so hard to achieve something. But remember, humility is not about downplaying your success or achievements. It's about recognizing that no matter how much you've accomplished, there's always more to learn, and there's always room to grow. It's about appreciating the journey, the people you've met along the way, and the lessons you've learned. It's about never losing sight of the fact that we're all human, and we all have something to offer. When you choose humility, you choose to lead by example. You choose to inspire others by showing them that success doesn't have to be about being better than everyone else. It's about being the best version of yourself and lifting others up along the way. Humility doesn't just make you a better person. It makes you a better leader, a better friend, and a better team player. And when you combine that with your skills, your knowledge, and your drive, you'll find that your success will be both meaningful and lasting. So, no matter how much success you achieve, no matter how many accolades you receive, remember to stay humble. The real power doesn't come from showing off, it comes from staying grounded, from lifting others up, and from always being willing to learn. That's the kind of person who inspires, who builds, and who ultimately leaves a lasting impact on the world. And trust me, that's the kind of person who succeeds in ways that really matter. Number 36, accept responsibility for your life. Taking responsibility for your life is one of the most empowering decisions you can make. It means acknowledging that you are the one in control of your actions, your choices, and the direction your life is heading. It can be tough at times to accept this reality, especially when things aren't going the way we want them to. But here's the truth. The moment you take responsibility for your life, you free yourself from the victim mentality and you open up the opportunity to change, grow, and move forward. When you're not taking responsibility for your life, it's easy to blame others or circumstances for where you are. We all know the feeling of looking at someone else and thinking, if only I had their opportunities, their luck, or their support. But here's something important to understand. It's not the circumstances or other people that determine your future, it's how you respond to them. No matter how hard life gets, no matter how many obstacles you face, the way you choose to react is in your hands. You are not a passive player in your life. You are the creator. Think about it. How many times have you heard someone complain about their situation, their job, or their life in general? It's all too easy to fall into the trap of thinking that the world owes you something, that things should be handed to you. But when you adopt that mindset, you put yourself in a position of powerlessness. You're waiting for someone or something else to change, but the real change starts with you. You have the power to shape your life and to make things happen, but it all begins with taking full responsibility for where you are right now. This doesn't mean that you have to accept everything in your life as if it's perfect. It's not about pretending that there aren't challenges or hardships. It's about understanding that those challenges are part of your journey, and that, while you can't always control everything, you can control your response to them. Instead of letting difficulties define you or limit you, take control. Decide how you will respond, what lessons you'll learn, and how you'll grow from those experiences. When you take responsibility, you stop waiting for things to change by themselves and start making deliberate decisions that move you in the direction you want to go. Taking responsibility also means owning up to your mistakes. We all make them. It's a part of life. But too often we try to cover up our mistakes, shift the blame, or make excuses for them. When you do this, you miss the opportunity to learn and grow. If you want to improve, you have to be willing to admit when you've gone wrong, learn from it, and then do better the next time. No one is perfect, But the people who succeed are the ones who take responsibility for their missteps, make corrections, and keep moving forward with determination. One of the hardest parts about taking responsibility is letting go of the need for approval or validation from others. It's easy to fall into the trap of wanting others to affirm your choices or to make decisions based on what you think others would want. But the moment you stop seeking approval and start taking ownership of your own decisions, you give yourself the freedom to live authentically. When you stop worrying about pleasing everyone else, you begin to trust yourself more. And that's where real personal growth happens. Another important aspect of taking responsibility is understanding that your future is in your hands. You can't blame your upbringing, your circumstances, or anything else for where you are now. What you do next is what will determine your future. You have the power to change, to improve, to grow, and to take steps toward the life you want. But it all begins with taking that first step, accepting that you are responsible for your life and for the choices you make. At the end of the day, life is about ownership. When you own your actions, you become the author of your own story. You stop being a passenger in your life and start driving it. That's when things begin to shift. So I challenge you today to take full responsibility for where you are and where you're going. You've got everything you need to succeed within you. It's all about how you respond to life's challenges and how much effort you're willing to put into making your dreams a reality. When you take responsibility, you realize that you're in the driver's seat, and that's a powerful place to be. Number 37. Time flies, use it wisely. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, or how much money you have. It's the one resource that's the same for everyone. And once it's gone, it's gone. It's easy to overlook the importance of time when we're caught up in the busyness of life, running from one task to the next, focusing on what we don't have, or constantly looking ahead to the next thing. But here's the truth: time flies, and the more we let it slip away without intention, the more we regret it later. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. How we use those hours determines the course of our lives. So many people spend their days waiting for something to happen, hoping that change will come on its own, or putting off their dreams and goals for later. But if you keep saying, "I'll get to it tomorrow," or "I'll do it when I have more time," you might wake up one day and realize that all those tomorrows have passed by, and you're still exactly where you started. The truth is, you can't afford to wait. If you want to achieve something, you need to start now. There's no guarantee of a better time to begin, because life doesn't slow down. When you realize how quickly time moves, it shifts your perspective. You start to understand that every day is an opportunity to move closer to the life you want, or to push further away from it. You don't get to decide how much time you have, but you do get to decide how you use it. It's all about prioritizing what matters and being intentional with your choices. That doesn't mean you have to work every minute of the day or say yes to every opportunity that comes your way. It's about being thoughtful with how you invest your time, whether that's focusing on your career, nurturing relationships, or making time for personal growth. Time is precious. And yet we often waste it on things that don't really matter. We scroll through our phones for hours, binge watch TV shows that don't add value to our lives, or get stuck in the trap of overthinking things that won't matter a year from now. It's easy to get caught up in distractions, but distractions only steal our time and leave us with nothing but regret. I'm not saying you should cut out every bit of leisure or relaxation. Life should be enjoyed. But when you can recognize where your time is truly going, you can start making better decisions about how you spend it. Be mindful of where your energy goes, because once it's gone, you won't be able to get it back. The key is to focus on what's important to you. Take a hard look at your goals, your dreams, and your values, and ask yourself, am I spending my time in alignment with these things? It's easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of life. But if you don't take the time to slow down and think about what truly matters, it can all pass you by. Time doesn't wait for anyone, and the longer you put off living the life you really want, the harder it becomes to make it a reality. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that you have all the time in the world. But the reality is that life is short. Every day is an opportunity to take a step closer to your goals. every minute is a chance to do something that matters. Time moves quickly, and the more you embrace that fact, the more you'll appreciate the moments you have. You can't control time, but you can control how you use it. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for things to align perfectly. Start today, right now, with what you have, and make the most of it. Remember that time is the one thing you can never buy back. Don't waste it, and don't let it slip away without using it wisely. It's okay to make mistakes, to take breaks, and to change your mind along the way. But don't waste time on things that don't serve your greater purpose. Time is your most valuable resource, so spend it wisely. Prioritize the things that matter most, and use every single day to move closer to the person you want to become. Don't wait, make today count. Number 38. Focus on your strengths, not your weaknesses. Everyone has their own strengths. It's one of the most important things you can realize about yourself. There are things that come easily to you, things that make you feel alive, and things that others might even admire in you. Yet many of us spend so much time focusing on our weaknesses, thinking we need to fix them or make them better. We spend hours trying to improve where we're not naturally good instead of fully embracing what we're already great at. But what if I told you that you don't need to fix everything? What if I told you that the key to your success and happiness isn't in trying to be perfect in every area of your life, but rather in focusing on your strengths? You've got unique talents. Maybe you're great at listening, or maybe you have an uncanny ability to solve problems quickly. Perhaps you have a creative mind that constantly generates new ideas, or maybe you can relate to people in ways that others can't. These are the things that set you apart. And they're the things that, when cultivated, can lead you to success in ways that trying to shore up your weaknesses never will. It's time to stop wasting so much energy on areas that drain you. Instead, focus on what brings you energy. It's not to say that you shouldn't try to improve the areas where you're weaker. Growth is important, and if you can work on your weaknesses, it can make you a well-rounded person. But the truth is, your strengths are where you should pour most of your focus. When you give more of your attention to what you're good at, you naturally grow stronger in those areas, and that's where the magic happens. You become more confident. You become more productive. You create opportunities for yourself and for others. The things that used to be hard suddenly feel easier because you've leaned into what you're naturally good at, and that momentum builds. Think about the most successful people you know or have heard of. Do they spend all their time focusing on their weaknesses, or do they double down on what they're best at? Look at any great leader, athlete, or entrepreneur. They don't try to do everything. They know their strengths and focus on them. They build teams around them who have complementary skills, who fill in the gaps. They understand that they don't have to do it all themselves. And the best part? They don't feel like they're falling short for not doing everything. Instead, they embrace their expertise and hire a partner or delegate to others who excel where they don't. When you focus on your strengths, you begin to see opportunities that might have once been invisible. You also start to feel more fulfilled because you're working in areas that feel natural, rather than struggling to improve things that will never come as easily to you. This doesn't mean you won't have to put in effort. It doesn't mean you won't need to grow or develop, but it means you're working with the grain instead of against it. Imagine how much more energy you could bring to the table if you're working in the areas where you already shine, rather than trying to fix things that are out of your comfort zone. It's like playing to your own strengths instead of trying to learn someone else's game. You'll also find that the more you work with your strengths, the more opportunities start to come your way. People will recognize what you do well and seek you out for it. Your confidence will grow, your results will improve, and the path to success will feel more organic because you're doing what you do best. The key is to focus on what you've got, not on what you lack. Too many of us waste too much time thinking we have to be good at everything. But when we give ourselves permission to lean into our natural gifts, we're able to grow in ways we never imagined. There's power in knowing who you are and what you're capable of. When you focus on your strengths, you're not just working toward success, you're working toward fulfillment. You're aligning your actions with your values, your passions, and your unique skills. And when you do that, the success comes almost naturally. It's not about being perfect, it's about being authentic and doing what you're good at with all the passion and effort you can muster. Focus on your strengths and watch as life begins to open up new doors for you. Number 39. Learn to say goodbye. We often think of goodbyes as sad or something to avoid. But the reality is they're often necessary for growth, progress, and moving forward. It's never easy to let go of things, whether it's a relationship, a job, a dream, or even a place that has been a big part of your life. But you need to understand that holding on too tightly to something that no longer serves you can be just as painful as letting it go. Saying goodbye doesn't mean you're giving up or that you're weak. It doesn't make you a quitter. In fact, it's one of the most powerful decisions you can make. It's about acknowledging that something is no longer right for you and freeing yourself from the weight of staying in a place, a situation, or a relationship that no longer serves your higher purpose or your well-being. It's about making room for new opportunities, new connections, and new experiences that align more closely with who you are becoming, not who you were. Whether it's a toxic relationship, a dead-end job, or an outdated belief system, saying goodbye allows you to make space for growth. I've seen it time and time again, where people cling to what's comfortable, what's familiar, and what's safe, even if it's holding them back. The truth is, growth requires change, and change often involves letting go of what's not working. If you keep holding on to things that no longer bring value into your life, you'll find that you become stuck in place, unable to move forward. This doesn't mean you need to burn bridges or end things on bad terms, but it's about recognizing when it's time to walk away. It's about accepting that not everything is meant to last forever. In fact, the things that are meant to last will often endure, and the things that aren't, well, they'll fade away on their own, whether you want them to or not. Sometimes you have to be the one to take the first step and let go before you get pulled under. Letting go doesn't always come easily. It's often filled with emotions, fear, and doubt. The fear of what's next, the uncertainty of change, and the sadness of losing something that once brought comfort or joy can be overwhelming. But you have to remind yourself that just because something is hard doesn't mean it's not right. Life has a way of pushing us out of our comfort zones when we're ready to grow, even if we're not sure what that growth looks like yet. The fact is, you can't grow if you don't release what's holding you back. Think about how much energy you waste trying to hold on to things that aren't serving you. It takes up emotional space, mental energy, and often physical space too. What if you let go of that? What would it feel like to free yourself from that burden? You would be able to take that energy and put it into something new, something better. Maybe it's starting that business you've always dreamed of, traveling to a place you've always wanted to see, or investing in relationships that truly nourish you. Saying goodbye creates room for these new possibilities to enter your life. And sometimes saying goodbye isn't just about the big things, it's also about the little things. It's about letting go of the habits that hold you back, the beliefs that limit your potential, or even the self-talk that keeps you stuck in the past. These small goodbyes can be just as powerful as the big ones. They add up over time, and eventually you'll find yourself living a life that feels lighter, more aligned with who you truly are, and more in tune with your purpose. As difficult as it may be, I encourage you to embrace the idea of saying goodbye. It's not something to fear or avoid, it's a vital part of life. The relationships that matter will stay, the opportunities that are meant for you will come, and the growth that you're seeking will unfold. But you have to be willing to release what no longer serves you. Saying goodbye isn't an end, it's a beginning. And the sooner you learn to say goodbye, the sooner you can start saying hello to the life you've always dreamed of. Number 40, believe in yourself. It's easy to get caught up in the opinions and judgments of others. It's natural to seek validation or approval. But the truth is, you can't live your life based on what other people think. Their opinions, no matter how well-meaning, can't define who you are or who you're meant to be. The most important belief you need to have is the one you have in yourself. Believing in yourself is the foundation for everything else. Without that self-belief, it's almost impossible to move forward. It doesn't matter how talented you are or how much potential you have. If you don't believe in yourself, you'll never take the necessary risks or put in the hard work needed to succeed. You'll hold yourself back, waiting for permission or approval from others. The key to unlocking your potential is knowing without a doubt that you are capable of achieving whatever you set your mind to. You are enough, and you have everything inside you that you need to succeed. But believing in yourself doesn't mean that everything will be easy. In fact, it's quite the opposite. There will be challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt. You will face obstacles that may seem insurmountable, and there will be times when the road ahead looks unclear. But in those moments, it's essential to keep your belief in yourself strong. Self-belief isn't about expecting things to always go your way. It's about trusting yourself enough to keep going, even when things aren't perfect. It's about having the courage to fail and the resilience to get back up. Belief in yourself is also about accepting who you are. It's about embracing your strengths, your weaknesses, and everything in between. You don't have to be perfect to believe in yourself. You don't have to have all the answers or know exactly how things will turn out. You just need to believe that you are worthy of the success you desire and that you have the power to create your own future. When you stop waiting for the world to tell you what you're capable of, you take back your power. You start living on your own terms, and that's where true freedom comes from. You see, when you believe in yourself, you start to make different choices. You stop waiting for someone to give you permission, and you start taking the initiative. You pursue your dreams with confidence, not because you have everything figured out, but because you know you have what it takes to figure things out along the way. You stop letting fear control your decisions, and instead, you trust that every step you take is leading you closer to where you need to be. Sometimes the hardest part is simply trusting that you're capable of handling whatever comes your way. Life is full of uncertainty, and no one has a crystal ball. But when you believe in yourself, you stop fearing the unknown. Instead of being paralyzed by doubt, you embrace the journey and trust that you'll learn, grow, and adapt as you go. Your belief in yourself will be the anchor that keeps you grounded when the winds of life blow strong. Belief in yourself is also contagious. When you show up every day with confidence in who you are and what you can do, you inspire those around you. People are drawn to that energy. They see your commitment and your conviction, and it encourages them to believe in themselves too. You create a ripple effect of positivity and self-belief that extends beyond just your own life. So, as you move forward in your life, remember this: believe in yourself. You are your own greatest asset. Your potential is limitless, and the only thing standing between you and your dreams is the belief that you can achieve them. Don't wait for someone else to give you permission to succeed. Take charge of your life, trust in your abilities, and step forward with the confidence that you are more than capable of creating the future you want. You've got this. Believe in yourself, because that's the first and most important step to making your dreams a reality.